Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
There are some fun things that I want to get to, Stugotz, including that I drove in today and it made me, like it filled my soul with something really sweet that I heard Solomon Wilcott and Ryan Leaf on a show called The Opening Drive.
Solly.
Yeah, I heard their big voice announcer say, "Take your morning coffee with a side of football." and I just got into my day the way that I wanted to. But before we get into talking with Juju and Tony and Mike and Chris Cody about the events of the sports weekend, the big story of the day today.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
In every way, Stugotz has never been older. This is the oldest he has ever been. He has sort of shaved 4 days ago. He is, I don't know what the gifts are for his birthday. We have a gift for him today for his birthday that we're going to surprise him with.
Do you really? Wow. I'm very excited. The first time the show has gotten me a gift.
I think, guys, you know what the surprise gift is, right? Everybody knows except for Stugotz. In terms of gifts, where would this rank on greatest birthday gifts that we could just give Stugotz to make him happy?
Number 1.
Really?
Tony, hold on. Tony, you're aggressively knowledgeable there where I've got a show full of people who know Stugotz for a long time. Is this you're promising the number one gift that we could possibly get Stugotz to make happy?
I know my guy Stugotz. I know what he likes.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's done a lot of things. He's gone to the Sphere. He's done God knows what with the dead. Like this, if we could do one thing for Stu today, it would be this.
Mike, do you know what the gift is or do you not? All right, Juju.
It'll be a surprise for me,
Do you know what the gift is or not?
Happy birthday,
idea.
Mike. Yeah.
Okay, so this is not a great room to ask.
I know who it is, but based off Tony's guess, I'm thinking the
Well, you
dead.
just said
it's a
who.
person.
You
It's
just
a
said
person,
who.
all right.
Chris, go sit in the penalty box. Go sit in the penalty box.
Well, Tony was very smart to clarify it's the best we could do today. If you were telling me perhaps that in a few weeks you were sending me back to the Sphere to go to 3 more Dead & Company shows, that would be great and probably number 1 on my list, but that is not today. Today is today.
But it seemed to you and the audience like we were getting you an actual gift, and no one likes the guy like Chris Cody who ruins the surprise right off the bat. Right? Like already the surprise is ruined by making it a who. He gave him too many details.
You would have ruined it in like 30 seconds.
Right.
Well,
I still don't know. If it
neither
matters.
does Mike, and neither does Juju.
Yeah, I'm actually, given the punitive measures that we've just taken, don't tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. I'm just going to tell the audience, and I'm telling Stugotz right now that I really do think it's going to make him happy, and it's hard to make Stugotz happy these days as he ages. He's struggling with his age. It's always I've got my right arm hurts. This is wrong.
Sure.
He's become full-blown old person who complains about everything. He's always been that, but it's now older person that does it.
Trying my best to make him happy on his birthday. We got Nadal and Djokovic on the red clay for possibly the last time, but it is not delivering right now.
No.
Thank God that clay is red because it is a bloodbath.
Well, it's making me sad because Nadal is finished. I asked you who was winning, and you gave me a look like, duh. Nadal is getting crushed. And so I am sad today because, Mike, we're seeing the very end of what is one of the greatest runs in the history of tennis.
Yeah, the achievement here for Nadal was to get his body ready to actually be here for Paris because it wasn't looking like he'd have this send-off. We kind of already said goodbye to him at Roland Garros, but he was trying to get his body ready for this this Olympics, and we got that. And so in many ways, the victory for him was just getting out there.
Let me stop you guys for just a moment because I don't believe.
Tennis. So.
I want to talk. No, I want to talk about this with you.
Nice little rally going.
And I want to get to the stories of the day as well because I didn't expect to start with this. But Tony, just please find for me because I think we overlook this all the time in a way that infuriates me and under-respecting the people in sports and what they put their body through. Nadal's not going to walk right the rest of his life because of what he's done to his feet and because of what he's had to do in terms of taking medicine, shots to stay out there because you have no earthly idea how tough this human being is, whose left arm is a thigh, a human thigh bigger than his right arm because he's distorted his body to play tennis that way.
He might give us a moment. We got a break point.
Oh, boy.
Look up for me, Tony, please. Just the pain that Nadal is in when you say get his body right for one last run, because we saw 3 Michael Jordans dominate tennis for 15 years, and he happens to be the 3rd best.
Yeah,
there's no knock
that's
on that, but not on clay.
He's the best ever on clay.
Not on clay. And so I do want to celebrate this for a moment because it is rare that we have sporting events going on while, how nice has it been to get up in the morning and you've got the Olympics that are there.
Dude, the Peacock coverage has been unbelievable. This is the first time we've had a streamer like this have these rights for the Summer Olympics at a reasonable time. So you're watching all these things pretty much live as they're happening, and it's so easy to follow. And plus you got the Gold Zone, which has gotten tremendous reviews. I watched some of it. It's a whip around show like the Red Zone, but for Olympics, and it'll only get more exciting as you get more and more games of consequence here as we get into the medal rounds.
I think Nadal has won 22 Grand Slams, if my math is correct, and yet he is the 3rd best of that generation. That's crazy.
It is, and what's even crazier is that there are so many guys like that are 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 7th that if they played in any other generation would probably be talked about as like all-time great. This is a show that we did 2 weeks ago, but I think Nadal is he's entered that Tiger Woods territory, and I don't know if you guys saw a photo of Tiger Woods' leg without a leg sleeve. His legs are just totally mangled from that, but whenever you see Tiger playing in a tournament, and he's good for the birdie on the first hole,
right.
And it always gets you excited.
Yep.
And you always kind of hope like this guy's got one in him. He's not as good as he once was, but he can be as good as he ever was just one more time.
No. Stugotz has been saying that about Tiger here for the last 3 years. Predicts he wins every tournament. And then he misses cuts.
He won the Masters.
He did, but that was before the car crash.
5 years ago.
Well, the other car crash.
But I was saying he had one more in him before that for 5 years, and then he won the Masters. And I'm saying he's got one more. He's got one more.
You've been wrong on Tiger Woods for 5 straight years. Every tournament, wrong. You always say he's going to win, misses the cut. Tony, what do you have for me on Nadal?
So obviously there's been a lot of injuries with Nadal, as in any pro athlete who's been playing for so long. But since 2005, he's had a symptom called the Muller-Weiss syndrome, which is a rare condition that affects the adult navicular bone, one of the most crucial bones in the human foot that connects the ankle to the bones of the foot, and there's no cure for it. So he just basically plays on it with no cure, and it's debilitating. He says he can't walk
for 20
after.
years. He's been playing in that kind of pain because you have no earthly idea how hard it is to be tough enough to be 3rd best of that era.
An injury that I think is made worse on this surface, and probably became a thing because of this surface that he excelled on. So
all right, so but this is where I wanted to start with you, Stugotz, because we're talking seriously here about pain threshold and recognizing greatness, measuring greatness, valuing greatness. Because the 2 stories today coming in here are the Olympics in general, and I'd put it front and center at that. Team USA basketball, because it's the great connecting point, and I want to talk about LeBron, even though people are really tired of LeBron, because I don't think we understand how unfair we've been to excellence during an era. Over the last 20 years, social media, mocking people. He was always chasing Michael, always chasing Michael. To see him holding that American flag, and that flag means something different than it did 20 years ago, but the thing holding it doesn't, it's still excellence for 20 years. Today's Ali, you better appreciate it, because it's today's Ali that he could be the oldest player in the league holding a flag that doesn't mean what it did over the last 20 years, and that I asked you all now, all of you, give me the greatest controversy of his career, because you just mentioned Tiger Woods. Nobody does that. Social media age, 20 years, give me the greatest controversy of his career. From 16, he's been exceeding expectations.
To me, I think some people listening right now, they'd probably say China to me, I think the greatest controversy in his career was a business decision that he made.
Miami?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deciding to come to Miami, and he became a villain. And
Changing
he really struggled.
teams, exploiting free agency, and changing the entire power structure in sports. But throughout the time, chasing a ghost in Michael Jordan, and he would never be more first than Michael Jordan. And you know how hard it is to tackle Michael Jordan as America's ultimate winner? Not even Brady could do it because he wasn't first. So Michael Jordan is the winner. Not Serena Williams.
Of all time, you're saying.
Not
right,
anyone.
yeah.
But
he won the game.
But
right.
we have watched for 20 years somebody who holds that American flag in the middle of the Olympics. And once upon a time, right, because we don't treat Team USA this way. We don't treat anymore what it is that we're watching of this team and make it feel like it did when it was Jordan and Barkley. But imagine Michael Jordan at the end of everything, not shooting jumpers for the Wizards, trying to make Abe Pollin some money. Older than any athlete out there and still deserving of holding the flag, how emotional you would have been watching it because you're so much nicer to him. Because the last 20 years have been so much crueler to athletes, and he comes out on the other end of this a different person. But before I get into all of that, Stugotz, because I do think the other story here locally is how it is that you measure a quarterback's value. Tua has just signed a contract. And it pains me the way that sports and sports coverage have changed so much. I really don't know when this happened, when we cared so much that it was $53.1 million, that the dollar amounts are so important to us where we don't do this anywhere else in entertainment. Not like this. We might say, look, Deadpool is the biggest opener for an R movie ever, but we don't care what Ryan Reynolds makes in that movie. Nobody's talking about that.
But in this case, we care because we're not certain if this particular quarterback is worth the $55 million for whatever reason. We don't have these concerns with Joe Burrow. We certainly don't have them with Patrick Mahomes. We have them with this guy. He did it for a year. They haven't won a playoff game. They were 1-6 against teams with winning records last year. There are a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, so I understand why we're doing it with Tua. Plus, the Dolphins did not have to sign this quarterback right now. They didn't have to do it, Dan.
When you say, I want to have the macro conversation, okay? Because the micro conversation is absolutely, is he worth every penny right now this year's salary cap sport? I want to have the bigger conversation of how the sports coverage has changed in 20 years that contaminates and corrupts the way we view someone like LeBron, because when you know what everyone is making all the time, you're perpetually in sports media assigning value to them, and then Skip Bayless makes a career of saying you're not as valuable as you think you are, making us all more valuable. Like the criticism game of 20 years that LeBron James has survived to hold that flag, Kaepernick couldn't survive it under that flag. And I tell you again, look at what happened when the temptation arrived for Tiger Woods. Because LeBron James's greatest controversies are he was his own man in a way that was publicly vocal in a way Tiger and Michael never would. And when he carries that flag, it means something different. He's not doing it just to sell sneakers, but he will. But it means something to him to be the oldest athlete in the game and to have survived 20 years of our endless bull about you're great, but not great enough.
Well, I think people are obsessed with money, particularly because it's cap sports, and you kind of have to, in the day of sports takedom, you have to get that in. Look, Phil Mickelson probably has the worst sports contract in all of pro sports, but no one cares, primarily because it's golf, and it's live golf at that, but it's not a cap sport. His ability to make that money isn't stopping his team from signing anybody else. So you have, like, I know there's Hollywood budgets assigned to movies, and even in Deadpool, they kind of make fun of how cameos affect the budget. But that's why people don't care so much.
Mike, that's a neat rationalization for now. We've been obsessed with the money of athletes before the salary
You are
cap.
right. The Olympics got you charged up, my man.
Yeah.
Like, you came in hot.
I
got a cool stat for you. LeBron James is 4 years older than Larry Bird was when Larry Bird was on the Dream Team. Do you remember how old? There is old. There's Wilford Brimley old.
Yeah.
But pro sports old, to me, is Larry Bird on the Dream Team.
Yeah.
Where his back got wrecked by repaving his mom's driveway. That Larry Bird.
Yep.
LeBron is 4 years older than that Larry Bird.
and still a shining example for our culture. Like our culture, we used to seeing our superstars and our heroes take a big dive after a while. Like Dan said, it's been 20 years of an unblemished resume for an example to be made for children to follow him, for an example for players to follow him, and now he got his son. He's going to be in the history book. So to do all of that, and whenever it's everybody on the NBA, the USA team is the man. But when 2 minutes left, everybody know, pass the damn ball to LeBron. He got a look in his eyes. And so with that still being, like he said, older than Larry Bird, come on, man, you are a legend. I don't know, bro. Michael Jordan is the ultimate winner, but I think LeBron is the ultimate example.
Example of what? Not winning, though.
No, example of a black culture being able to follow a black example without a blemish on his record.
To Juju's point, he spoke to it, too. When he was being interviewed as he was there holding the flag next to Coco, he mentioned, like, for a black man to be holding this flag and set that example. He's always been aware of it. He's always aspired to be something, in some respects, sometimes something greater, more impactful on social issues than he can be, but he's also shown in his career that he can be super impactful. Just look at his time with the Heat and wearing the hoodies and the statement. If you look back at the reaction to that, now we see political statements made all the time, even though that's more of a social rights issue, a civil rights issue. But he is always keenly aware of what the goal should be for a role model. And he's never slipped up, to Dan's point. His only slip-up was a business decision.
Right. No, he's great. And, Dan, he has received over these 20 years a lot of praise as well. I mean, all we're saying is he's not as good as Michael.
Stugotz,
that's it. There's no shame in that.
Stugotz, it has always been delivered as there is shame in that. And for 20 years, a lot of people have profited off of how much crueler the coverage is of everything because we know everything about how much these people make, and we have an access to them that we didn't have during Michael Jordan's more mythological time.
But with the money, you're talking about actors. We don't care about what they make. If movies had a cap on them, we would care.
Stugotz, listen.
If we had $100 million cap for a movie and Reynolds took up 80 and we couldn't get DiCaprio because Reynolds took up too much money, we'd be blasting Reynolds. I mean,
the cap here, the thing that you guys do to rationalize the bad behavior of how often you spend, putting a dollar amount on these people. This has been a total change in sports media, Stugotz. This has happened over the course of our lifetime, and it's before the salary cap that it started. The salaries in the paper, in the newspaper, knowing what everybody makes. When I'm watching Tua and you're talking about the micro of whether he's worth, like, this is funny, Stugotz, that Tua's $53.1 million and Goff is $53 million. That's on purpose. Like, that's absolutely his agent doing that on purpose. No, give us $100,000 more than Goff. When we do it that way, it's not because everyone's saying, how much does that $100,000 keep us from paying Jalen Ramsey next year, Stugotz? That's not everyone's a capologist. We're just busybodies who want to know exactly every dollar that everybody makes and be okay with wanting to know it. Like, we want that information. It's a total change in the way we cover these people.
How much of the salary cap is Robert Downey Jr. eating up for Doom?
Right.
It's Dr. Doom.
Yeah, he didn't spend 7 years in evil medical school for you to just call him Doom.
You hit the stat of the day music, Chris, and I erred last week in giving a stat that was wrong. It ended up being wrong. I had said that Mark Sanchez had won more playoff games. This bothered me all weekend.
Really?
It did.
It's stuck with you?
A stat of the day.
You got to let it go, man.
No, it's a stat of the day. It's got to be right. The stat of the day has to be right. It's all it's got to be. And I said that Mark Sanchez had won more playoff games than the combination of Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, and somebody else. And it turns out that Lamar Jackson won his second this year to make it so that group of people has 5 instead of 4. And so the stat, you understand what the point is. What's happening with Rafa?
Rafa, he gave us a moment.
Oh, he's back.
Oh, he's broken Joker twice. It's 4-4 in the second set. Oh, the feels. I got Goosey's talking to you right now. It's Rafa. It's Joker. It's Roland Garros. And he's back.
He wants to go 5 sets, right?
He always does.
Yeah. I don't think they can do that in the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's kind of like boxing, where I'm worried about the boxer's health, and then I find out, it's just 3 rounds. Go crazy, folks.
I just want to, and I know this happens every time, Stugotz, that I talk about LeBron. Every single time it happens where somebody is out there saying, you are giving too much praise to this person. He doesn't deserve the praise. And all I'm telling you is, as close as someone can be in sports in the modern age, to the degree we'll allow it, because Ali was first.
Right.
To the degree we'll allow it, he is a combination of the modern Michael Jordan and the modern Muhammad Ali in the way that he is represented, overcoming what the body must to be Rafael Nadal
Yes.
and him, and to get to a game yesterday that you're watching that he's still, Stugotz, great at his age.
That's
I
amazing.
want to talk about the physical aspects, because we saw Brady into his mid-40s do things we'd never seen before, but the way that he played the position, he doesn't – look, if it's a foot race, we know that Tom Brady probably – if he had to lean on his athleticism more, he probably would have been out of the league sooner.
But faster at 45 than he was at the combine at 22 because of medicine and science.
Understood. And he totally changed and warped our perception of how quarterbacks should age to the point that we're still struggling with it. LeBron plays a different sport and at a different position where he is fully reliant on his athleticism. There's mental IQ stuff too. He's a basketball genius, don't get me wrong, but he still has to drive the lane. He still has to be strong. That Larry Bird is not a joke. And he is a case study for how far sports medicine has advanced. I was talking about this with Chris Whittingham in a group chat like the other day specifically about Larry Bird. Larry Bird's off-season training plan one year was to stop drinking Miller Lights. And
which
he
you
legitimately
should never do, which you should never do.
Never do. There's ways to manage your training
Larry
now and
Bird,
still enjoy a nice
Larry
Miller
Bird,
Lite.
I've lost respect for Larry Bird
What?
because yes, I've lost respect. This is brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, it clearly didn't work, so it was a bad plan for him. But that's not a joke. He really hurt his back repaving a driveway. So LeBron is doing things that is probably going to be super unfair for the generations that follow, the same way that Tom Brady just totally warped our perception of what the quarterback position should age like. He is unlike anybody else, and we will only know how to really put him in the proper context until his career is over or he's long gone.
I'm telling you to do it now is what I'm telling you. I'm offering you the opportunity to do it now, because a step beyond what you're saying, Mike, is you could say all you want about science and use the extraterrestrial Tom Brady. But I listened last week to Carmelo and Dwayne Wade trying to tell me what their history was, change it in podcast, while he's still out here doing it. Science didn't do for them. Science didn't get them to holding this flag still playing for Team USA.
Just want to make sure I'm clear. Your lost respect for Larry Bird is brought to you by Miller Lights? Okay,
yes,
good.
that is
Got it.
correct.
Okay.
That is
Shot
right.
of Miller Lite for your life.
That's right. That's right. Larry Bird, I have lost respect for you because the way that you said that you got in shape is by stopping drinking Miller Lite.
That was his claim. We don't know if it actually happened.
The insanity, Stugotz, okay, in a sport that changes so quickly that Embiid in international play looks a bit lumbering. It looks like a 7-foot.
What are we doing there?
No.
Jason Tatum can't get on the court.
No, Kerr just made a mistake there,
He's
right?
like, oh, I forgot.
Why do we insist on playing Joel Embiid like our third best center for international basketball? Because there's no 3-second rule, and every game starts the same. Like, well, we got to feed Joel. We got to worry about Joel. Meanwhile, Tatum's feelings are being ignored.
I think Steve Kerr did a great job of explaining. Like, no, I'm the coach, and Kevin Durant looked like Kevin Durant yesterday. He ain't look like Kevin. He like the god Kevin Durant yesterday. And on top of that, brother, if my decision is to sit your ass at the end of this bench the entire Olympics, that's my decision. I'm the coach. So sit over there, NBA champion, sit down.
Hold on,
But
that's not exactly how he
I'm the
said
coach,
it.
I'm
though,
just
Dan.
saying, but that's the law, though.
But let's
He is the coach,
let's get
I
his
mean.
sound though, because I think what he said is, I feel like a total idiot.
Yeah, it's tough, but Jason handled it really well. I talked to him today before the game that it may play out this way, just with Kevin coming back and the lineups that I wanted to get to. But that'll change. You know, Jason's going to play. Every game's going to be different based on matchups. He's a total pro. He's first team All-NBA 3 years in a row. I felt like an idiot not playing him. But 40-minute game, you can't play more than 10. You really can't. And So I think he's an amazing guy, great player, and handled it beautifully. And he'll be back out there next game.
I was shouting at my television on a steal and dunk, Drew S.A., and just so you know, Stugotz, so that you're clear on this, the reason that Tatum did not play is because that's the best half Kevin Durant has ever played. What birthday is this for you? Is it 52?
It is 52. I don't feel a day over 75, but it is 52.
How are you feeling about things today as it's your birthday? Will it be a celebratory day? I don't know at what age birthdays stop feeling like something you feel like
about
you
5 years ago.
should celebrate.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to celebrate much. It's a Monday. I don't like birthdays on a Monday. I just want to get through the show, have fun during the show today, get through the show, go home, take a gummy, maybe play some golf. I mean, it's what life is all about, Dan, at this stage of my life, gummies and golf.
How was the New York experience? You spent last week there around your dream scenario. How did that go? It seemed like it was very polarizing. It seems like it was volatile.
It was a bit uncomfortable. I don't care. At this stage, I go in there, I throw a couple of grenades. I have everyone saying out loud into microphones that they too want Evan Roberts' job. And, mission accomplished. I walk out. They talk about me today. They bashed me. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. You know what, Dan? What can I do? I'm not going to stay up at night worrying about pleasing everyone because you know what? I can't please everyone. I can only go and do these things and try to have as much fun as I can have. And I felt like I had fun, except for that 1 hour where my stomach was in such shambles, I almost crapped myself on the air.
What happened? Was that when you were confronted by that guy in half a hood?
Oh, tyranny? No, this was just bad food the day before. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
It was just you just didn't feel good? You were just going to crap yourself?
there was a good hour where I left Gio hanging several times because I wasn't really listening to what it is he was saying. I was focused on trying to keep everything inside.
Oh, that's not great.
That's not
a great situation.
And my back was sweating. It's sweating just talking about it right now. So
about your stomach, has that ever happened to any of you where you can't I'm talking about on air.
Yeah.
On air. No. Of course this has happened. No, I'm talking about on air. There's a lot of time we've put in over the years where a bathroom situation makes it so that you can't concentrate on what you're doing for a full hour. I don't think that has ever happened to me. I think adults generally have control of their bowels better than that. I think this might be a you problem. We've been doing this a long time. Did you just blame Indian food?
I didn't say Indian food. I just said the food I had the day before. I went out. I had a nice brunch with Diana Rossini, and I noticed that we were at a place. I noticed that she took a single bite of what it was she was eating, and I ate my entire thing. And we ordered the same thing. It was an omelet. She took one bite, stopped eating. I ate it all. I asked her, why'd you only take a bite? She never answered because her face is always in her phone. And so, but it dawned on me as I was thinking back to it in the moment.
Oh, you think you poisoned yourself? You think you ate something?
I think she ate something. She knew it was bad. She forgot to tell me to not eat the thing that she wasn't eating because she was reporting.
If that's not the life of an NFL insider right there in a nutshell, doesn't have time. Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Does an NFL insider have time to tell their friends they might be food poisoned?
And I was so hungry, I ate mine, and then I took a bite of hers. I mean, I reached over. She wasn't eating it, so I cut a little piece off, and I had a bite of hers. So, but it was fun. I had a good week. It was a little frosty up there, I got to be honest.
Frosty.
People aren't happy with me for whatever reason. I didn't take the program director's job. I want everyone else's job. I'm vocal about it. There were some people in that building who were not big fans of mine, and quite frankly, I don't blame them.
I was surprised that you rolled over when that guy confronted you.
He's big. Yeah,
he's
big.
Physically big?
Yeah, he's on my list of top 5 sports radio goons of all time. It's him, Dan Cilio. I mean, Sal Licata's also on the list, but I like Sal a lot. But those guys are big, man. They intimidate. Dan, I'm 5'7". I'm 52 years old. I mean, what am I going to do at this point?
Well, not say things that offend them?
You're right. I apologize to him.
We love you, Stu, guys. You got a building full of folks here that's going to ride and die for you, brother. So
Thank you.
Salute to those big brothers who are quote-unquote big, but we got your back. So we don't give a damn about none of that bigness nowhere else. You feel me? Come on, bro. You are our partner. And we ride or die. Yeah. Bad boys for life.
I love you, man. Thank you. I feel your love, Juju. I do.
Kevin Durant had never dropped 20 points on 100% from the field in any half of his NBA career, including the postseason. He went for 8 against Serbia. The part that was funniest about that game is, oh, look, when Jokic is out there, Serbia and Team USA are exactly even. And then Jokic has to go sit for a little while. No, there goes Team USA 29-3. Like,
we're forgetting to play players.
It's just one right. Well, they forget. If it had gone deep in the game, we would have tried to wear down Jokic. But he could have beaten all of them. He's done it before. Like, he can be out there just a cement mixer, because this part's amazing, right? Joel Embiid looks, come on, man. So Joel Embiid doesn't fit in this game? Look at him. What do you mean he doesn't fit with every kind of basketball I've ever seen? Oh, but Jokic can dominate no matter where I put him? No matter where I put him, doesn't matter who's guarding him, doesn't matter how you want to play the game. You want to play it on your knees? He'll beat you that way too. Everyone's got to play on their knees.
It's all in here, Dano. Right here, the heart. Joker got more heart than damn near the whole Serbia. And Embiid got less than Philly. Salute.
I want to get to, Stugotz, in about 10 minutes, what Mike is saying about the Gold Zone, the broadcast.
So good.
I was watching, and I didn't realize, because I didn't read much of the coverage, when I heard Mike Tirico's voice for the opening ceremonies, and my wife and I were just spending the entire time laughing about how French it was. I'm thinking to myself, is that Peyton Manning? That sounds like Peyton Manning. Why would it be Peyton Manning?
It was so funny. The very first Mike Tirico hit, they pan out, and it's just, here's Kelly Clarkson and Peyton Manning.
I hadn't seen Peyton Manning. I was just listening to his twang, and I'm like, that's clearly Peyton Manning. But why would it be Peyton Manning?
Well, why not?
Well,
he's an Olympic hero,
right? I mean, duh.
Flag football, next Olympics. What do you mean?
I legitimately, I never bothered to look it up. The information just came to me over the next 2 days that, yes, that is not only Kelly Clarkson, but it is Peyton Manning. But to recognize a quarterback by his accent, when most people in America can't recognize any of the wide receivers if they walk in and sit in your living room, I think it's a fairly amazing thing to have a voice that you recognize because it's been a part of your life for 15 years and you're confused as to why it's there. And then when you think about it, you're like, nah, it should be there. Why? Because I recognize that voice.
It's everywhere. I mean,
Djokovic has done this occasionally in his career, where he does not take a hostile crowd well, and he shows his true self. He's a heel. He's a villain.
He eggs him on.
So yeah. Nadal was making a run here, fought off break point after break point. It's a best out of 3 in the Olympics, and Nadal had tapped in, turned back the clock, tapped into his greatness, and the crowd really rallied behind a Roland Garros hero in Rafael Nadal. They were booing Djokovic. So when Djokovic finally broke Nadal, he chirped back at the crowd who was booing at him, and he was talking to them. And now he just won the match. In his celebration, he took his tennis racket and started playing it as a sad violin. That bastard.
The Joker. I mean.
And that's how it ends for Nadal. The Joker playing like the villainous Joker. Did you guys, I saw this the other day, Stugotz, the trailer for The Penguin. Have any of you seen the trailer for The Penguin?
I have, yeah.
And do you recognize, Mike, don't spoil it, do you recognize who that person is? Because it's not, if I can show you a picture, if you were to
Is it a spoiler if the movie already came out? Like, it's a continuation of the Batman movie.
Is it Ron Say?
It is not. The third baseman, the former third baseman for the Los Angeles
Is
Dollars.
it Minnie Driver?
You could put that picture in front of Stugotz of the Penguin, and he could give you 1,000 guesses and not be able to tell you.
Throw it up on the screen. I have the video department find a video of or a still image of the Penguin from this upcoming Max series, which is supposed to be a bridge to the next sequel in the rebooted Robert Pattinson franchise, which I guess is independent of the DC universe.
Is that Sidney Crosby?
Sid the Kid.
It's Martin Straka. Oh, let's please play this game. Evgeny Malkin.
All famous Penguins is all we're gonna do. Tom Barrasso.
Stu Barnes.
I don't remember him with the Penguins.
Oh, dude, it was the
Stu
worst.
Barnes.
It was arguably the worst trade in Panther history. They got back Chris Wells.
I know that they
That's
traded him.
stiff.
I didn't realize it had been to the Penguins.
Oh, it was
I'd
a
forgotten
terrible
about that.
trade.
What a glorious time that was when we were heartbroken by hockey trades. We haven't even gotten to the Marlins trading their only star. They're the only player anyone recognizes.
Dude, that statement. I have no connection to Jazz, but when he, in his statement, mentioned Miami Blue and Caliente Red, I felt that.
Chris Cody, how did you feel about this? I take it that Billy is taking some earned vacation. He has been ground to a nub by all things happening around here. How did you feel about Jazz Chisholm being traded? Because he goes to the Yankees, and I have not had this reaction before, Stugotz. This has not happened to me in the history of this market in baseball, betraying this market again and again. And Stugotz, I will tell you, baseball was my first love in this market. It's the first thing that I covered professionally in this market, the 1993 Marlins.
You were on the beat?
It's what I grew up on before University of Miami football or anything else. I have cared about baseball in this market, and baseball again and again in a way that makes me get into an argument with the commissioner of baseball is treated South Florida as a brothel. They can't make the business work here because a bunch of thieves and greedy people come in and ransack our local baseball team, pretending to try and make baseball matter down here when all that matters is the business of it. So you can't get attached to the players. But when they traded Jazz Chisholm, like, I've been mad at them, I've been indifferent, I've been just ravenously angry. In a way I don't get about sports, because of how brazen it is that they just keep using a street I care about, a street where my grandmother grew up, to just ransack South Florida. They traded Jazz Chisholm, and I was happy for him because now he'll get to play baseball in a place where people will be seen, where we'll watch him. And
he'll get to play meaningful games.
And care,
right.
and his personality can come out because he escapes the prison that is this haunted franchise.
I'm good with it. I want Peter Bendix to get a chance to do his thing. Like, if we're going to criticize every move he makes, why'd we bring him here? Jazz is a good player. I don't find him as a guy that we needed to keep. He was one of the few people we could move, so I totally get the move. I'm going to let Bendix do his thing. That's where I'm at with the Marlins.
I think Dan is tired of getting the move.
No, I know.
You know
I am too. I'm exhausted with the whole process.
But of course you get the move. It's because they're never good.
Right. It's not just that. No, they made the playoffs last year. It's not just that. It's look, the lifeblood of sports, man, is, do you care about the people? Like, you can care about the team, but you can't just keep sending people off that fan bases care about without really betraying your customers. You can't do it so many times that you're not going to actually kill the business. Where I'm at the point already, after being rabid, to say, you know what, good for Chaz. He doesn't have to rot down here. Andrew Siciliano is with us, and he's been one of the best for a long time, and he's joining us from Stamford, Connecticut, the Gold Zone broadcast. These guys are raving about all the things Siciliano is doing. He is very much not in Paris right now. This is really the outer fringes of the heights of sports media where he has existed most of my life. But Siciliano, thank you for being on with us. It looks like a lot of fun, and
that room doesn't.
The room does not. The coverage.
This is a beautiful dressing room. Hi guys, live from Stamford, Connecticut. We can keep the baseball talk going. I'm still a bitter Indians fan from '97. I can't believe Tony Fernandez booted that ball to lead off the ninth inning here, and Jose Mesa should have closed it out. So I'm sorry about the Marlins.
We can talk baseball with you if you'd prefer, but these guys are super excited about what you're doing with the Gold Zone broadcast. You guys are trying to do something that's more ambitious than what's been done, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, we've done this, but not like this. In 2014, 2016, NBC tried this for Sochi and for Rio, but honestly, nobody saw it. It was on something called NBCOlympics.com. Still a great site, by the way. But streaming wasn't a thing. Peacock wasn't a thing. Like, watching everything on your phone wasn't a thing. And we had all these embargoes, like we couldn't show the gymnastics or the figure skating because that was, you had to keep that for prime time, right? And so it was a much, much different show. This is real. This is big. They built this fantastic studio, and everything is live. Drive it to live. And like on an NFL Sunday, we might have 10 games at once, maybe 11 week 18 when everyone's playing at 1 o'clock. We could have 40 events happening simultaneously at some points during the 2.5 weeks for this. So it's like red zone, but like your head explodes. It's awesome.
What did the prep for this look like? Because for the NFL, it's the true American pastime. You know all these players. Your prep year after year is pretty much the previous year, and you see some new faces and whatnot. But I don't know, like, I don't know. I don't want to doubt you, but I don't know how much fencing you knew and judo you knew and followed. I imagine you had to cast a pretty wide net to prepare for all these things.
Mike, it's terrifying. Full disclosure, I still don't know judo. Like, I'm watching it and I can't figure out what the heck is going on necessarily. I'm going to sound corny, but NBC has this amazing research staff that literally the day Tokyo ended in 21, they started working on this. And like, I have notes here on cycling, judo, canoe slalom.
Oh man, what an event!
gymnastics.
The upper body strength is incredible.
Yeah, huge.
Jess Fox.
I mean, you should have seen
Jess Fox for gold.
huge
She was
yesterday.
incredible.
What a story, by the way.
Come on. Did you see
Born
the
in
360
France.
on 14?
Mom is a legend. Moved to Australia where
Yeah.
her mom was coaching. Now back in France, winning yesterday. She had never won gold. I still couldn't figure out what was going on there because honestly, they just look like they're trying to like prevent themselves from drowning. That looks like me in an undertow the entire time, but there's actually method to that. Water polo, beach volleyball,
water
volleyball,
polo, big
surfing.
bro. Did you see Ashley
Yeah.
Johnson? 12 saves,
Bam.
2 steals, brother. Plus 7.8. Come on now. Come on, Andrew. Come on now.
I'm learning it. Surfing in Tahiti, where there's a 12-hour time difference. Badminton, fencing, handball. Handball's awesome. We need more handball in the U.S. Like, can you imagine Tyreek Hill playing handball? Table tennis, rugby, like all of that could be on the air today. So I can't know it all. There's 10,000 athletes in 39 sports. I'm leaning heavily on the research department.
I'm going to read something to you here because John Green, the best-selling author, is writing on Twitter after being on the Gold Zone on Peacock for a single weekend. Quote, "I've taken a lot of drugs in my life, but I've never taken a drug like Peacock's Olympic Gold Zone. What a rush. I'm deeply invested simultaneously in judo, fencing, gymnastics, and kayaking." Siciliano, have you gotten briefed yet on breakdancing?
It's yes, I have. And by the way, we saw that tweet yesterday. We have a group text, everyone on the crew that went around, and somebody said we're better than meth, and then the Breaking Bad gifs started flying. Breakdancing. It's breaking technically, and you should get to know Sunny Choi. She's a 35-year-old Estee Lauder executive in her free time, went to an Ivy League school, ended up breakdancing when evidently out late one night as a freshman or something, like after a few pops. And now she could win a gold. She is America's best shot to win a gold in breaking. And I don't know, have you guys seen how this is set up for breaking?
I am supposed to be our show's expert on this. I have not
Okay.
yet.
You didn't give us anything, Dan.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I haven't gotten
So,
briefed
Dan,
yet.
You didn't tell me about the Estee Lauder
He gave us
CEO.
a flyer
called-
pick. I mean,
Yeah, B-boys and B-girls. That's like the official name of the athlete. Like, it's not a fencer. It's a B-boy and a B-girl. And they're going to be like dance battles. It's a DJ. They don't know what music's coming. It's a 60-second track. And then they're just like dance battles. I go, you go, I go. And they're judged. Again, no idea what the music is. And even if you love it, and I know you're going to love it, it's not allegedly coming back in 2028. It's a one-year thing here in 2024. In LA, I'm told we're not going to have breaking. Like, flag football comes in and other stuff in 28. So enjoy it while it's here.
They don't know the music? That's really unfair. Like,
From what I understand,
That's the competition.
they don't know the music.
like, what if somebody
Here's a
gets
track.
Sailing by Christopher Cross?
Dance. That would be awesome, by the way. That would be fantastic if they did that.
I think at one point you were in front of 16 boxes. I think I saw you
Yeah.
and Hanson in front of 16 boxes with video in them yesterday. We're just snorting sports right now. What is that box called? What is that box called?
I don't know that. So Jack Collinsworth called it the Wonder Wall. Little Oasis callback. We're not in London, but why not? I don't know if it has an official name. It's a beautiful set, though.
Hexadeca. What is 16 though? Because the biggest
Manchester, famously.
I've seen on Red Zone. I saw Octobox.
The Octobox,
is the
Dan.
biggest I've ever seen.
Scott loved that. He had one of those yesterday. I don't know what the 16 is. Can somebody help me with the Latin prefixes? Somebody?
I'm going to say hexadeca.
I don't know.
I got it for you.
It's beautiful, though.
Weird being in the same room as Scott Hansen. We'll get that information for you. But weird being in the same room with him?
It's different. Look, Scott and I worked together for 13, 14 years at NFL Network, but we never did the same show together. Maybe like he and I were talking about it. Maybe there was like a handoff from two different locations for training camp. I'm in Denver. Let's go to Scott in Tampa, that kind of thing. But this was the first time I think we were actually on the same set at the same time. I know like sports Twitter lost their mind, and it was like the Red Zone multiverse. Anyone watching Dark Matter on Apple TV?
Absolutely.
Which is a really good show. Joel Edgerton, by the way. Yeah, so it's like that, like Red Zone 1, Red Zone 2. Like there were going to be like 10 other Red Zone guys running it at the same time in the multiverse, all trying to kill each other to get back to what's her name at the Brownstone in Chicago. Maybe I'm getting too deep here. It was weird.
Olympic competition between the both of you, Andrew versus Scott. I would pay to watch
weird,
that.
But we do it every day now. Like, so I do the 2 to 5. I'm sorry, I do the 11 to 2. He does the 2 to 5. So we do a handoff every day. No one's died. It's not like Anchorman. No one has a trident in the back alley in Stamford. And there's no fighting yet. I think we're okay.
You're both exceptional
so
at what you do. Nobody except for you two might know exactly how hard that is because it's a really unique job. I remember the people at ESPN used to say that the doing of highlights on Baseball Tonight, that was the hardest show to do on ESPN because it's live highlights all day.
Yeah.
Nobody but you two, you and Hansen, know more than anybody how hard that job is or isn't. So let me ask you a question that is, I guess, a bit delicate, but I don't mean it this way. You're both craftsmen. You're both exceptional at what you do. Is there anything that you look at and say he does better than you and that he would look at and grant you that you do better than him?
Okay, so that's a great question. This is going to sound like I'm avoiding the question. I've never seen his Red Zone because for 18 years, I was doing mine. And it's not like I could record it because I had DirecTV, so I didn't get his. And so I would come home and the NBC game was already on. Sunday Night Football was already on. And I know you're going to say, well, why didn't you watch last year? Well, a lot of times I was at Rams games. I did a bunch of Browns games filling in for Jim Donovan when he stepped away for a little bit. The number of Sundays where I was actually home on my couch, I can count on like one hand. So I've never actually seen it. I can say this, Scott's really good at what he does, like as a NFL Network anchor. He's awesome. And I always thought he did a great job with everything he did there. But again, it's going to sound like
officially. No. Understood.
It.
That makes sense. You had 4 chances to
avoiding
watch
the question.
him.
You're avoiding watching the show.
Yeah,
I mean, you had 4 opportunities to do so.
4 chances, and you declined each of the 4 times to do so. I think that is statement enough and obvious in how loudly it speaks.
I'll say this. He's doing a really good job on Gold Zone. Right. I am watching that. Right. He's doing a great job. He's setting up all the swimming well. Right. He's getting all the gold medals swimming. And so that's amazing. He's killing it with that.
I will say that a lot of people miss you, and if you're a Siciliano person, you are not a Hansen person, and perhaps vice versa, because you've learned to be like your Sunday experience is unique to you, and this is the voice that you've ridden with for a long time. NFL Network laid you off in April after 13 years. Did that hurt? Were you expecting it? You're a huge professional, and you will have no shortage of opportunities, obviously, after that.
Without getting into the contractual side and whether I expected it, that's a different issue. Yeah, it did hurt. I mean, look, you're there 13, 14 years. It was something you knew would happen one day, maybe not that day. I was not the only person that day, however. That's been well publicized. So, I kind of felt for everybody. There were a lot of us in that same boat. The business is tough these days. I totally get it. I'm going to miss the friends. I made a lot of friends there. Thankfully, a lot of us still live in the same neighborhood. I see them all the time. I mean, that was what it was. But I'm not the first. I'm not the only one. And it probably won't be the last time. A lot of us have been told to go elsewhere in this business. So I'll do that. I still love football. I'm still, knee deep in it, still doing the Rams. I leave here in Stanford 2 weeks from now and then get on a plane and got Rams Cowboys the next day on ABC 7 in LA. So still keeping involved there and ready for the next chapter, whatever that is.
Any blessings or learning in it?
Blessings or learnings? Always download everything you need on your computer because you never know what's blessings or learnings. No, it's not like I took anything. It's just, you got to get ready for those things. Blessings or learnings. Hey, don't be afraid to do your own thing. I think you guys, and I mean this, it's a brave new world out there and it can be scary, but you guys have built something. Don't be afraid to go out on business on your own because sometimes it can be wonderful. I know it's not easy. But
wouldn't recommend it.
Oh, yeah. Well, but at the same time, do it, own it, be proud of it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's some pride in ownership. I'd have to believe, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's pride. Oh no, it's just very hard. It's much easier.
Unlimited PTO. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, much easier to have a safety net without.
Of course,
with an employer, much easier. Self-employment.
No, totally. And not to get too inside baseball here, everyone said, "Oh, do your own thing." Well, there's a million people doing their own show in their own basement, right? I mean, everybody has a show in their basement these days. Not that you guys are in your basement. This is a beautiful studio, but you get my point.
You're in the basement.
Look, it's
sir.
a brave new world.
You call it the gold zone, but you're in the basement, sir. We're in Miami on the Bay. You're pretending to be in Paris when you're in a dressing room in Stanford.
As you said, it is very nice to be wearing a suit that somebody else bought and paid for.
Right.
It is very nice to be in a studio that somebody else bought and paid for. I enjoy that part of the business as well.
Andrew, we like to play a little game around here called Shot Put for Your Life, okay?
Okay, Ryan Krauser for your life. Here.
Really? It was Joe Kovacs or Ryan Krauser. You're going Krauser, huh?
There you go.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, why not?
You're prepared. You're good.
Siciliano, we're going to check in with you again, all right? I want to check in with this dressing room occasionally during this. I know you're very busy, but if you have a time here and there to sneak in with us and do some laughing, we'd love to have you around.
I'm here. I'm on at 11 every day, so perfect time. Whenever you need.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You got it, boys. See it.
It was Colin Farrell playing the Penguin.
When we talk, Stugotz, about the mental strength of some of these human beings who are competing for 4 years to have, in some cases, 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. You've got 10 seconds to be great. The mental strength that requires is fairly amazing. It'll test even someone like Simone Biles, who is clearly the best gymnast anyone's ever seen.
You have all this preparation for this one moment, and you've got no idea what song they're playing. It's like, I think I got a couple moves. I know where I'm going to go with it. And then, boom, you can call me Al. Fuck.
I'm guessing that's probably not. I'm going to say that there are restrictions on what the music is. There's going to be a genre involved. I don't think it's going to.
They got to have an idea of the BPMs.
It's not.
Because you're like ready for like 115 and then. Although that would be a pretty fire routine.
Like, it might be. The thing that I'm talking about, though, Stugotz, when I talk about the mental strength this requires, when I open the show talking about whatever it is that Michael Jordan had to overcome, and when I say that Tiger Woods tripped over something at the end, Tiger Woods, the rules changed on him. We weren't reporting about that stuff before Tiger Woods around Michael Jordan. We weren't talking about Perkins restaurants and stuff. And so what LeBron has done in slalom coursing through the 20 years he has makes it so that a lot of people react to how I open the show with yelling at me, why do you keep filleting this guy? It's always some version of this.
It is amazing when you think about, 20 years he has survived the social media era without a bad story, without a bad off the court thing.
It's not just pretty amazing.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
It really is.
It's not something that makes any sense. And we've been so busy. You're saying, well, Danny gets plenty of praise. Yeah, but we've covered him unlike anyone since he was 16. But as amazing as that story is, it was not even the most amazing story in American celebrity, and it's not even the most amazing story in American black celebrity. Snoop Dogg, are you kidding me? How do you go from murder trial to you are an American mascot over 50 representing hip-hop still? Like, how is that possible that Snoop Dogg is beloved cultural icon in every living room and he outlasted marijuana stigma? Like, he just outlasted it. Just like LeBron outlasted Bayless, Snoop Dogg did something better. He outlasted our repressions on marijuana.
I'm genuinely curious. I want to look it up, like who's in charge of making these broadcast decisions for NBC, because they've knocked it out of the park. And I imagine maybe they had a lot of plans for the last Olympics that got impacted by COVID, and maybe they couldn't do it. But I don't know if you've seen the ratings increase.
Yeah, they've been great.
It's
biggest
up
since
83,
2016.
Up 83%. This is an astronomical number. To have 32.4 million people watching your Saturday coverage, your day one coverage of the Olympics, is astronomical. It's bonkers. It's 1.5 times. It's 2.5 times Caitlin Clark here in this country.
Mike,
it's crazy.
How about
numbers.
meeting the moment? Because you just heard me lament and joke gallows humor with Siciliano about the difficulties in building a business. Stugotz, this is really an amazing time in broadcasting where the streaming services have to match our need for stimuli. They have to advance and evolve the product. It can't be the way that they used to cover the Olympics. They have to give you more. They have to put it on your phone, and it has to be impeccable from another country. That's really hard to do without rampant mistakes.
Yeah, but even beyond the technological advancements and just the massive undertaking that this entire broadcast is decisions like putting Peyton Manning, Snoop Dogg, and Kelly Clarkson on the broadcast. Like, nobody has a problem with those people.
Right.
Nobody.
An Olympic broadcast.
Despite
yes.
Snoop Dogg's
right.
past, like, there's a reason why he's on everything. Everyone finds him funny. Everyone likes him. Peyton Manning, everyone likes him. Kelly Clarkson, nobody has a problem with Kelly Clarkson. These are all decisions that they're making.
But yes, and also, murder trial.
Yeah, but it's people, like, a lot of people are learning about that when you say it. It was like pre-internet. Like, no one knows.
He's dancing with the torch, and all of us were expecting him to light up with it. Yeah. And he respects our country too much and what it has given him to use that torch to
You don't think he has lit a single joint using that torch? You're crazy. I bet you it was in his contract.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Has Snoop Dogg used the torch to light a joint?
Yeah, they have Colin Jost covering surfing. If you've read Colin Jost's book, which we were all supposed to read for the book club, and I was the only person that read it. Oh. And he had a surfing accident in which Jimmy Buffett saved his life. So it makes sense that Colin Jost is on it. But these are all pretty inoffensive people. I read a totally overthought article on like the Twisters' success and how Hollywood's like, here's a movie that everyone will like, including the South. Nothing political about this. Everyone's got a high Q rating. This is something for everybody, and NBC's really done that with their coverage. They really focus on getting likable people that are totally inoffensive.
I enjoy watching how all of these entities in the modern age of competition are going to fight to get our dollars. Deadpool and Wolverine talks about 4 quadrants of demos. R-rated movie never reaches that many groups. It's just not. This is the biggest R-rated movie in the history of R-rated movies, and the last one was Deadpool at $133 million in 2016 because it's unusual to be able to get everybody inside of the tent. But
did any of you guys watch Deadpool and Wolverine over the weekend? I was really hyped for it. I got an opportunity. I'm not going to give any spoilers away, but it surpassed pretty high expectations, I thought, entering in it. And for an R-rated movie that breaks the fourth wall, and I thought it had a surprising amount of heart towards the end of it, and I really enjoyed it. And then my experience got a little diluted afterwards by the news of Robert Downey Jr. rejoining the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because this was kind of posited as like perhaps a reset to the very confusing multiverse thing. And it didn't quite do that, but maybe it's the start of fixing it. But I love the movie. Great action, great soundtrack, great acting and chemistry between the two leads. It was really fun.
My point being that there are more and more ways for the system to get rigged by the people who know how to rig it to get us and manipulate us into the tent, because they know the things to feed us. And the Olympics, the streaming bet that Peacock has made, they have poured a ton of dollars into getting into a game that Apple now, Stugotz. I just finished Presumed Innocent. It was great.
Banger, right?
Yeah, it was great. And I did think the ending, it fell apart a little bit, but Apple has only had Ted Lasso. They've had Blackbird. They are making big, giant things and having difficulty, for whatever the reason is, having things that cross over, no matter Severance, things that cross over. And
Sugar.
A lot of people, you keep talking about the 6th episode of Sugar, but Peacock.
I'm not waiting 6 episodes.
That's the thing. Nobody's got time for that. Mike is shocked by whatever happens.
The end of the 6th episode is great.
Sugar.
I'm like, okay.
Guys, we're getting really close to me saying, all right, I'm going to spoil this shit for you because I need to talk about this. I saw it, so you don't have to.
No, just hold on to it for a second.
It's
I'm
noir.
getting to it.
He's
I'm
an
getting to it.
investigator. He's suave.
But
He's
like 6
interesting.
episodes, it's too much.
And then,
I mean,
and something
not.
happens.
It's not. It's Colin Farrell
like it
as
is.
not the Penguin,
Right.
and I haven't done this in a while, right? Hollywood kind of closed down, obviously, and the content dried up a little bit. I haven't watched something the way that I watched Presumed Innocent in a while, where I watched it the way that I watch Ozark, which is like 6 in a weekend, 7 in a weekend. You just you just don't stop watching. But Apple is now cutting back on some stuff, even with all of the money in the world.
Yeah, they've spent a lot of seed money, and I've kind of been astonished. I've only watched a handful of Apple shows myself, and my wife, for whatever reason, Apple, it works for her. If Apple's got a new show, she will watch it, and she likes pretty much all of them. And I'm just astonished at the budget and how well made these things are, but I'm also astonished at, does anyone know this is existing? Because
it's weird. It's weird. The amount of money behind that wall, it's weird that it can be a secret.
And the reason why I know, not everybody's watching the art that they're making is, if you saw this 6th episode of Sugar, you'd be talking about it. This would not be a secret that could be kept. It is so absurd. It's the craziest left turn the show has ever taken. And it's a well-guarded secret because nobody's... I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that knows it.
Mike just told me what it was. I think I'm in now.
Okay.
I think I might have to watch a 6th episode.
But you know what it is.
Yeah, but now I'm in.
But Mike's the only one willing to go to a 6th episode.
It's like From Dusk Till Dawn. If you didn't watch a trailer for it,
right,
and you're like, okay, this is cool. Wait, vampire movie? What the hell? That's kind of the turn that it takes.
All right.
Also, Invasion, Foundation, bro, they got so many good shows on Apple Plus. Please give them a try today.
Can I criticize the Olympic coverage for just a second, though? Because we're all sitting here praising it. I don't know what NBC is doing. Show me the games during the day, okay? I don't need to see a replay at night. Because I was glued to my TV at night, 400 free, one of my favorite events every summer games, okay? Because I wanted to see Katie Ledecky. And right before they swam, my wife says to me, she won the bronze. And I'm like, what are you doing? And what is NBC doing?
Are you just
Give me the games during the day. Give me Bob Costas at night running through the highlights. I mean,
you're complaining about what they're literally doing. It wasn't Costas, but they were giving you the highlights at night. Are you just grasping time zones?
I am, yes. But Ledecky, I wanted to see that 400 free. Really, what I'm doing here is lashing out at NBC when I should be lashing out at Abby for telling me the results.
Or lashing out at yourself for not watching as it's happening.
Listen, I want Costas. Run through the highlights. Give me the day's events. That's what I want at 8 p.m., okay? In, out, 1 hour. I'm covered on the games. You know?
Stugotz's defense, they could put in the corner of the screen, this is a replay.
Thank you.
Somewhere.
Thank you.
For people
you.
who go to the club.
Well, they're kind of doing that. The live graphic is missing. So that's how I've pieced things together. But the re-airs do allow you to catch up on something. There's a million things going on.
Isn't it called?
I'm trying to follow all of it. It's hard.
Isn't it called the Primetime Olympics Recap? Isn't that
Yeah, they're not trying to fool anybody,
Well,
dude.
then recap it. Don't show me the event again. I think I'm watching a Fresh 400 free. I'm not.
Dude, you think Katie Ledecky is going to be entering the pool at 3:30 a.m. local? What is this, the UFC?
You never know.
So we mentioned earlier that today is Stugotz's birthday.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
And now we believe that we give Stugotz the greatest gift that can be given to him on his birthday. What could it be, Stugotz? Do you have any guesses on where, if we were able to successfully surprise you, it would be very exciting to you?
Gummy.
Okay, but that's a physical
Right.
gift. How about a person? If we were to give you the gift of a person, a guest on our show, gummy is the best gift anybody can give you?
I mean, a gummy on a Monday. What is better than that? Are you kidding me? I would say in terms of people, perhaps, I don't know, maybe my dad. I have no idea who you're bringing on, right? Oh, my God, I see him.
Better than your dad. There
oh, my God, I'm
Might be
wrapping
your
my
dad.
gift.
There it is. He could
is
be
your
your
daddy.
dad.
What a gift.
He
Doggy on a
is-
Monday.
He is your doggy daddy on a Monday. Your idol. I don't know how he would have felt. Has the word gotten back to you on Stugotz ransacking WFAN last week? Have you have received word, Mad Dog? Does Mad Dog come with great praise and great pride for his protege dominating the FAN airwaves?
Good morning. Good morning.
We're happy to see you. Good morning.
Hello, doggy.
Hello there, and happy birthday, Dan. How are you? Happy birthday. And I did hear some of his scenarios last week with talking about long baseball games and nonsense that he was spewing out with, I believe, Greg Giamatti. But most importantly, what number is it, by the way? May I ask? 52, 53? What number is it?
It is 52, doggy.
52.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
Old, dog.
What do you mean old?
I feel old.
You're
I mean,
52.
I know, but you sit around, doggy. You know how it is. You do these things for 20 years, 4 hours a day. Your brain starts to melt away. My body is evaporating. I feel old. I feel like an old 52. I certainly don't feel young. I mean, I just don't, dog. I'm sorry.
But your mind is young.
Yeah.
You got Danny with you.
Yeah.
Your show is hot.
Yeah.
You got podcasts all over the place.
Yeah.
You still, you have other big radio stations wanting a piece of you on a holiday week, as last week was
Yeah.
for you.
Yes.
I mean, you got Christopher Russo, not that I'm not a big a deal,
Right.
but you got Christopher Russo checking in.
Yeah.
You got Stephen A showing up at Super Bowls to do your podcast, for crying out loud, like
You're
you
right.
did last year in Vegas.
Yeah.
I mean, things are going well for you.
You know
Are they
what?
not?
You know what, doggy? I needed this. Thank you. And that's why you are the greatest gift that I could receive today. I needed perspective. You are right. Life is great, doggy. I now feel energized
Well,
again.
but here's the
How about
problem.
that?
Here's the problem, though, Mad Dog. I'm going to knock him down here just a little bit as he feels better, because he was just lamenting after doing 4 full days of morning radio.
Oh, that's tough.
That on the 4th day he was trying to hobble through a hotel lobby and somebody saw him walking.
Doggy, Dan has said forever that nothing will age you. Not being the president of the United States will age you as much as hosting a morning show. And he's
I agree
right.
with that.
Oh, it's terrible. So on the
It's tough. What time do you have to get up every day?
it was like, I don't know, 4:15 in the morning, 3:45 some days. I couldn't sleep. I'm watching the clock. The clock is always chasing you, but I did it for 4 days. Perhaps I should have only done 2 days, but on the 4th day, I had to drive back up to Rochester afterwards. I get to the hotel. The sun's coming down. It's a bit dark out, and a lady is walking out of the hotel, and I'm hobbling into the hotel, and she looks at me, and she says, "Papa?" She thought I was her grandfather, doggy.
Oh, my gosh.
That's how much I aged in 4 days of doing morning drive with Gio. I mean,
With your
Papa?
baseball cap on and sunglasses and you hunched over. That is rough. And you have to be careful on those drives after you work, because you could fall asleep at the wheel. That's a long drive to Rochester, for crying out loud.
I know. but
You got to be careful with those kind of drives.
He's right.
Danny's right.
No.
Nothing ages you more than getting up and watching the
worst.
clock. If you can't sleep, is an unmitigated disaster. I sense that sometimes on the Wednesdays when I get up earlier to run into Manhattan. You are 1,000% correct. But you were successful. a big hit as usual, and now you're back in your normal domain here.
But
with Dan. So
here's
you're a
the
good
thing,
fit.
though, Mad Dog. This is why people don't understand what a beast you are. You were doing 6.5 hours.
Yeah.
He's doing
Afternoons, though. I mean, different.
Yes, it is
Different.
It is afternoons. It
Right.
is different. But you guys at the height of sports radio were doing 6.5 hours a day.
I think it was 5.5.
Your stamina is absurd. It's asinine.
Well, it's 5.5. Thank you for the extra hour, but it was 5.5. But that was still long enough. I tell you, what was the hardest thing I ever did was 5 hours on Sirius when I first got there in 2008 because there was no commercials and I didn't realize how much content that required. So that took a lot out of me those first 5 years. But Stugotz is right. Not doing it in the morning, Dan, getting up at 4 o'clock to do 5 hours, that is freaking hard. Your day feels good at 11 a.m., especially on Fridays when you got basically a 2.5 day weekend. But it is very tricky morning radio, that length of time. Afternoons, you can manage it a little better. You can, if you can sleep to 8 o'clock, it's a little different. But the grind of daily radio in the AM is a very, very difficult assignment.
But
You're
Mad Dog,
1,000%.
but this is a place where Stugotz needs some of your effervescent forever youth. He got caught with his pants down last week because he doesn't care about Mets-Yankees the way that you will forever care about Mets-Yankees, that you're fundamentally incapable of not caring about the second inning of a Mets-Yankees game, and Stugotz didn't care about it the way you care about it.
Why, Dog?
And obviously, Mets and Yankees played the 2 games last week, and the Yankees got swamped, so that's a bigger story. And Stugotz is breaking down 7-hour baseball games without his phone on. Yes, that is a tricky scenario. There are things that you have to create content if you're on the air. If you're doing local radio and the baseball teams are good, you got to concentrate on games in July. When they still got 50, 60 games to go. Anybody can do the football in the football season because that's a gift that never stops giving on Mondays with all the recaps, Tuesday with the Monday night, Friday with the preview, and a Thursday recap. You got the college football. Those days are easy. Sports talk, Danny, sports talk now has become a 6 or a 7 month deal with NFL. Once you get to, say, middle of February into, say, August 1st, sports talk becomes a lot harder. There's no question about it.
Doggy, my issue with what was going on in New York last week is I'm not going to sit here. Like, sitting next to Dan, I've learned some lessons, and I've been armed with some perspective. And so years ago, I would have blasted the Yankees for having a bad stretch. But what are we doing? They've won like 30 World Series. The team is a game out. They're a playoff team and a game out in the AL East. And I have Gio sitting next to me firing everybody. I mean, it's crazy.
I know. I mean, baseball in the New York area with the Yankees and Mets is sort of a game-by-game deal, and baseball is not a game-by-game sport. So you are 1,000% correct. And the Yankees just win 2 games against the Red Sox. They make the trade to get Chisholm there, which will help them a little bit. Give him a little personality. Yes, I mean, I completely agree. Baseball is a tricky sport to go through on a game-by-game basis because no one game is that significant. So as a result of that, it's hard to get a read sometimes when we do what we do, when we want to react to games. It's hard to get a read. I have been, I heard you guys discussing the Olympics. I've been surprised. The first 3 days, I watched more of the Olympics than I thought I would. And I actually watched the Djokovic-Nadal thing this morning on Peacock, that Olympic second-round match. So I have been focused more on it than I thought I would. And I know the time difference, and I know what they do at night is sort of a review of the whole day. But I did watch the basketball game yesterday, too. So maybe that will carry us the next 10, 12 days if you're a talk show host.
This interview is presented by LinkedIn Jobs.
Doggy, you brought up Nadal. Mike and I were talking before you came on. Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. It feels like we're seeing the very end of Nadal's career. It's been a great career. I think it's been 22 majors. Is he the worst of those 3, which is incredible? The fact that we can have that conversation is absolutely amazing. But is he?
100%.
Yes.
That's a very good question. Nadal looked old today. Didn't have the punch with his shots. He had the crowd behind him, too. Lost relatively easily at 6-1, 6-4. He has not been a factor for a couple of years now. He's got 22. Joker's got 24. And obviously Federer's got 20. It depends where you want to go. The thing about Nadal that is a negative is Nadal's got 14 of his 22 majors in one place, and that's in Paris.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have the distribution of majors as well as, say, Djokovic does and Federer does. His dominance on clay is unparalleled, but he's only won 2 Wimbledons, which is amazing when you think about it. He's only won 2 Wimbledons. He's won 2 Wimbledons, 2 Australians, and he's won 4 U.S. Opens. That's 7, 14. I think I might be missing one, but the distribution, 14 of his 22 is in one spot. So that is a little bit of a problem. I'm with you 100% on that. I would probably put him, it's tricky. Djokovic 1. I'd probably put in Federer 2, Nadal 3, but it's tricky. It's very, very tricky. They're almost all grouped together. But you got to put Djokovic 1 because he's got 3 more majors than the other 2 guys have. He's got to be 1.
It's curious because if they were all healthy and didn't have to deal with the injuries, Nadal at his peak was probably would lay claim to number 1, but you can't separate the injuries. What did you make of Djokovic chirping back at the crowd? He is so excellent that he doesn't really allow for the crowd to get behind other tennis players when they play. But occasionally when it happens, we see Djokovic lean into his natural heel self. And he taunted the crowd playing the sad violin after he eliminated their boy Rafa Nadal. What'd you make of that?
Well, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, that's Djokovic's game set. He gets fired up when the crowd is against him, which is in most places it is. He's not beloved like the other 2 are, and I do think that bugs him. He's a very good loser, though. When he loses, he always gives credit to the opponent. Look at what he did at Wimbledon with his speech. He's a good loser. He can be a little bit of an annoying guy as a winner. Crowd today wanted Nadal badly. You had to expect that. And he took somewhat offense to it. I'm not going to go crazy there. They're going to root for Alcaraz, too, when he plays him here in Paris. But Djokovic, it's interesting with him. He's in a tricky spot right now because he got ambushed by Alcaraz at Wimbledon. He's 37. He's only played in 1 final this year. He has not won a tournament. He's only got this, and he's got the U.S. Open. I don't know where he's going to go in his career. Looks like Sinner's better. Obviously, Alcaraz right now is better. So he's on his swan song, too. Not like Nadal is. He's got some tennis left in him, but he's on his swan song, too. But that's what motivates him when he gets annoyed at the he always does at the U.S. Open because he's always been, not the hated enemy, but he's always been the villain. And I think that does bother him. He's sensitive, and I do think that does bother him a little bit. And you saw it here today. He's got a good record against Nadal. He's beaten him now 3 times on clay. Very few people can, 3 times at Roland Garros on clay. Very few people can say that. He's done well against him in other tournaments outside of clay, in majors. You got to give him credit for that. He's got a winning record against Nadal. I think he's 31-29. And I think Nadal is a 9-3 at the French Open. So I mean, he is number 1 all time. Now Alcaraz is going to be close to him down the road.
It's my birthday. He's talking tennis. It's my gift. It's my gift.
It is your gift.
I'm talking tennis with Doggy.
Enough tennis talk. Happy birthday. We're done with the tennis talk. Mad Dog, I've got a question for you. You've had 3 portions of your career, and I want to know which was the most enjoyable and which was the most fulfilling, because those might be different. But creating sports radio in New York, starting ownership of your own Sirius channel that now results in another 3-year deal, or the present renaissance of being on First Take with more notoriety this late in your career nationally than you've ever had. Which of those 3 was the most enjoyable? Which is the most fulfilling?
I would say the number 3. First off, it's current, so I'm more focused in on it. I probably didn't handle those 19 years with Mike as well as I could have, as far as the dynamic is concerned, the relationship, leaving. I probably didn't do as good a job, saying goodbye as I should have. The radio was hard when I started at Sirius, so I got wrapped up in doing, again, those aforementioned 5 hours. I think now, and he's 64 years of age, making the adjustment to going on there every once a week for a couple of hours and sort of moving the needle. Still doing the radio and being relatively successful with that. I would say, and just the overall last, all the shows that you do and the fact that people have kind of discovered you this late in your life, I'd have to say now, plus throwing high heat with the baseball, still doing that. I would say this aspect of it, I didn't really quite know what I was doing with the 19 years in the starting Mad Dog Radio. There was a lot of other people who had a lot more success with it, had a lot to do with it as much as I did. And plus I was focused on the radio every day. Now I kind of can spread my wings a little bit, do 2 or 3 different scenarios, seeing yourself written about in the Boston Globe, your boyhood paper, see yourself talked about on Dan Le Batard Show, having fun with Stephen A., having, a lot of the current athletes. So who's this guy? And then realize, he's better than I thought he was. I think today, the Mad About segments, which, gets some juice. I have to say this part of the career here, probably it's more surprising. So that helps. But I would think that'd be a little more rewarding.
Well,
than the other two.
you've seen the industry change so much. You're almost responsible for how much sports debate television has become a thing. What is your perspective on everything happening between at First Take and Undisputed as you watch Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp fight, at the top of sports media?
Well, I mean, I try not to look too deeply into, the reasons why sports debate has taken off. I know Mike and me, from a 5.5 hour scenario for 19 years, kind of gave people the idea, let's try this on TV. Let's fill the airtime. We did it on Yes. So that kind of, we did sports talk on TV. That kind of gave people the idea. Stephen A. is he's a huge celebrity. And, he is omnipresent. He's all over the place. He's a huge figure. He can branch out into other sports, other things. I don't do that per se. I'm going to stick with the sports. ESPN is where you should be with this because that's where most people get their sports still from. And I just go in there for the 2 hours once a week, and I try to have a little fun, make his job a little easier. So I try not to take it too seriously. And I think that, Danny, is the key with a guy like me. I think if you go in there after you've been doing this for so long and you sit there and you start taking yourself too seriously, you start thinking that you're maybe a little more important than you really are, that you're a little bit more indispensable with the, when you're talking to people who are 30, 40 years younger, who are getting an idea who you are for the first time. Remember, I haven't been on FAN now for a long time. It's been 15, 16 years. Yeah, that's a long time ago. I think from that standpoint, I think that, I'm sort of a breath of fresh air in a lot of ways. And I try not to take it too seriously. I get up in the morning on the Wednesdays. I go in there. I make sure that everybody else gets a chance to shine. I know I got those 10 minutes at 11:30 to do the Mad Abouts. My wife kills me all the time for yelling at the camera, but they seem to like that. I come up with things that are not that are apolitical, because the last thing you want to do is be in a situation where you get people ticked off in the wrong way. It's supposed to be fun, and that's how I try to approach it. And now I'll do it as long as the wave lasts. Danny, you and I both know, Stugotz knows, sooner or later the ride's going to end. So you might as well ride it out as long as you can. And that's kind of my philosophy right now. At 64 years of age, 65 in October. How many people are still doing this? You're not 65, Danny. How many people are still doing this at 65 years of age?
Not many, Doggy. Listen, this was a great birthday gift. I appreciate you doing it. And I was thinking the entire time while you were talking there, how are we going to do better next year? How can we kind of go above and beyond what we did this year for my birthday? And I was thinking, co-host with Doggy, what do you think?
How about we do that?
Yes.
How about we do that?
I love you, Doggy.
Is your birthday actually July 29th?
It is, July 29th, yes.
All right. Why don't we try to figure out a way next year? Danny, you okay with it if we have Stugotz?
Of course, that would be delightful.
Very respectful.
That would be great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make a promise to you right now.
Yes.
How about if you and I host, your birthday next year will be on a Tuesday, right?
I think so.
Yep,
Again,
I just looked it up.
holidays,
How you know that?
things could change. Say again, Stugotz?
You're
Yes.
right, Tuesday, yes.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Why don't we plan? Now, it might be the trading deadline, which you can't stand anyway with the baseball.
Enough. I mean,
But why don't we try to plan next year on a Tuesday? You come up and co-host the 3 hours with me on Sirius Mad Dog Radio. How about that?
done.
Another trip.
I thought it was going to be here. I thought that was going to be here. I didn't
He's
think
leaving
that
us
you guys
again?
were doing
You know
it
what?
there. I thought
Danny, We have a studio at Siri down in Miami. How about if I go down there and do it?
That's what I thought.
I wanted to go up there, though. I mean, it's hot down here, dog.
That is a beautiful studio. I've seen that Conan O'Brien did some stuff out of there. Howard Stern does some stuff out of there. Before you get out of here, real quick, though, you say you're apolitical. I want to hear a politics show with Mad Dog, at least in part because of how he pronounces the names of politicians.
Barack Obama.
Oh, I'm terrible with that.
Barack Obama.
The Barack Obama was a bad one.
What about this one? Which one's worse, Barack Obama or this one?
Condoleezza Rice.
The Rice one is worse. You're funny, Danny. You're funny. The Rice one is worse. The Rice one is worse.
Do you want to try her name here again, or without us giving you a hint on how to pronounce it, or does that put you in a bad spot?
Condoleezza? How you pronounce it?
Just says Condi, doggy.
That's in
I mean, I learned it from you.
Condi. Condi.
Part of the committee. It's sports now.
You don't want to try Kamala, do you? Are you scared of that
Oh,
one?
no,
You okay?
Kamala. Yeah, I got that wrong last week, too. I get Donald Trump pronounced right. Kamala Harris, yes. I actually did some politics last week. I did an historian for the Lyndon Johnson Museum down there in Austin, Texas, to compare those speeches with Johnson resigning in '68 with the nomination. So I try to dabble in it a little bit. But again, as I said to you, Dan, and this is a lesson for your little buddy right next to you there on his birthday. Stay in your lane. That's the key to longevity.
A lesson for me.
Mad Dog, good seeing you. Thank you, sir.
Good job, boys.
Always nice seeing you.
Thank you, doggy.
Another happy
See you, baby.
birthday. See you, buddy. Another
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Congratulations, Stugotz. You've arrived at 52 years
Thank
old.
you.
I had to go to Africa and to Safari to get rejuvenated. You with the birthday gift of Mad Dog.
Yes.
Giving you the perspective of you hobbled through a hotel. What city was it in that you find? Rochester?
I had to drive back up to Rochester after doing the 4 days in New York at
Somebody
WFAN.
saw you limping through and called you Papa.
Papa?
Like you were a grandfather.
In
of
fairness
some
to her,
sort.
she was asking, "Are you Papa?" It was like that guy.
Yeah.
Papa?
I'm still feeling that one Mike and Mike show that we did at ESPN, that it's not a sane way to make a living, to do to get ravaged by the things in morning radio. I wanted to circle back around here, Stugotz, on the news of the day or of the weekend locally, because the place that Tua was slotted among the salaries average per year. I really do want to talk about this part with you guys.
Okay.
Because you can tell me it's about the salary cap, but you don't actually know what the difference is between Jalen Hurts making $51 million a year, Lamar Jackson making $52, Herbert making $52.5, Goff making $53, and now Tua is at $53.1. You got Jordan Love at 55, Trevor Lawrence inexplicably at 55, and Joe Burrow at 55 a year. Between all of those, that's a 16-17 playoff record. That's 3 Super Bowl appearances, no Super Bowl victories. Why do we know and care about these dollar amounts if you guys aren't actually capologists who could slot something here and there and tell me what it gets them in terms of paying Bradley Chubb 2 years from now?
But this dollar amount combined with Tariq Hill's dollar amount, Jalen Waddle's dollar amount, that's a lot of guaranteed money wrapped up in 3 guys.
Miami has in 3 guys, the only 3 guys in the league on offense who are making more than $70 million guaranteed.
I don't think people give a shit about the exact dollar amount. They care about where are they ranked. What quarterbacks make less, what quarterbacks make more. And that just happens to be where the number's at.
Yeah, that's an even easier way to understand.
I want to know who's making more than Tua and if that fits the hierarchy of quarterbacks.
You would say, what would you say? Would you say Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback or an average quarterback? Like, you can parse that. But remember all the hullabaloo surrounding his contract? Because of everyone being slotted up, Daniel Jones is now paid as an average quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence didn't change the market. Tua had to settle for something less, and as soon as he did, Jordan Love got in with more.
Yeah. Well, I mean, That's good agenting because they made it easy for him right there. It's also the guaranteed money, and that's a hell of a lot sexy to talk about. The guaranteed money is really what matters most.
Mike, you say it's good agenting. The Dolphins, by doing what they did the way they did it, got to a little bit cheaper than Trevor Lawrence. I continue to ask you guys, though, why do you care about these
Because
things?
it affects your ability to pay the weapons around it. And you've seen, like, the Chiefs weren't above it. The Chiefs had to move on from Tyreek Hill. And at a certain point, the Dolphins will probably have to do the exact same thing to make room for an escalating contract.
It does seem like some of these teams, Dan, whether it's the Chiefs, even the Bills with Stephon Diggs in the offseason, they're choosing, hey, we're going to spend the money on the quarterback. The wide receivers are kind of interchangeable.
That's not true.
No, but they found one last year in Rice.
But the most expensive, the value that is now being spent the most on is wide receiver. Like, there's been a sea change in the sport.
I don't understand the disconnect here because it stands to reason. You pay your quarterback more, there's less money to go around, which just ratchets up the pressure for this season because you have all those guys on your roster now. So you're like, this is probably maybe the last year or the second to last year where I have those three together. I have to win a Super Bowl now in this window, or Tua has to be a guy at that position that can transcend the loss of Tyreek Hill the way that Patrick Mahomes did.
The other thing that factors into why Dolphin fans are discussing this, and people in the NFL circles are just discussing this, Dan, is they didn't technically have to pay Tua. I mean, do you think Tua was really going to sit out this season? He was going to make $23 million. They could have waited till next offseason, you know?
I tell you what Tua has to do. Tua has to be a little more graceful, though, with your blessings. You can't get in front of a broke-ass crowd talking about show me the damn
Let's
money.
play that sound
Come on
because
now.
I was really surprised by this. It's weird. The whole thing's weird, man.
Warm reception to that, so it wasn't.
He's likable, but he also said, I'm the highest paid employee in the office. It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. I would say that one of the things that I've noticed with Tua, you remember him coming out of college, Dan. You spoke to him kind of fresh out of college. He has grown into a personality.
He's gotten real confidence from this coaching staff, and I would say that he's gotten an amount of success that makes it, man, he was worried about retiring because of his brain.
Yes.
Like, to get to this, it's not to get to a Super Bowl. It's not.
Yeah, well,
it's not to get to a Super Bowl.
When we spoke to Mike McDaniel at camp, he told us that he saw Tua at a charity event, and he saw a completely different guy than he'd seen in the public eye before, and he realized the failings, even though he didn't want to actually say Brian Flores, but we knew that Brian Flores did not, by pulling Tua in crucial moments, did not have faith in that man, and it really neutered that personality. He didn't feel like he can be himself. So Mike McDaniel told us specifically, I saw a relaxed Tua. I saw a guy that was a leader. I saw a person that people gravitated to, and we hadn't really seen that. How do I get that? And the interpersonal bridge crossing that Mike McDaniel did certainly unlocked something with Tua because this is the best Tua we've seen.
He led the NFL in yardage last year. So, I mean, listen, people can complain all they want. When you lead the NFL in passing yardage, this is the kind of contract you're ultimately and eventually going to get. Mike McDaniel really impressed me just from the standpoint of leadership. He seems like a really fundamentally good person and a great leader and a great football coach. To go to bat for a guy, Dan, that he told us before anyone believed in him, I believe in that guy. He's the quarterback for my system. And he just showed you, because he went to bat to get him and he didn't have to, he just showed you, hey, that's my guy, I'm sticking with him.
Absolutely. It's beautiful, it's syrupy, and also $100,000 more per year than Jared Goff immediately. Of all the quarterbacks that I mentioned there, Stugotz, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, Tua, Burrow, Lawrence, Love. Those are all $50 million a year quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Burrow is the one traditional quarterback that all of us would say at $55 million, put him anywhere, even though his skill guys are really good too.
Yeah.
Put him anywhere, and we think he'll be a great quarterback. Jordan Love last year with limited offensive weapons but a very good offensive line, looked to be in that category of quarterback over the last games when he went to Dallas and ransacked a Dak Prescott that gets accused of some of the same system stuff that Tua gets accused of, that Goff gets accused of, that diminishes Hurts as well. I think we all agree that Herbert, because he had great skill guys too, that Herbert looks the part of whatever it is that Burrow is offering you, and then Lamar Jackson is a weird amalgamation of system and changes at the position. The Tua stat that I find most interesting on do you put him in this $50 million category is that he's third in passing when he gets rid of everything before 2.5 seconds. And he's 16th after that. So it's not just that you have to be perfect to wide receiver and your skill players need to be paid more than anybody else to keep it just so. And it's not just that your offensive line has to hold up, that you've gamed the system a little bit because your system allows him to get rid of it so quickly that he doesn't get injured and they're proficient quickly. But it better be perfect for him. Everything's got to be perfect for him.
Including the weather. I mean, throw that in there as well. It's crazy.
And the first-round playoff matchup.
He's a weird quarterback. I'm not saying he's not deserving of the money. He's deserving of the money. He got the money. But if you put Tua out in the free market where any team could have signed him this year, do you think a single team would have offered him $55 million?
Yes, I think a single team would have, but not that many. I don't want to do it. I don't want to.
Single team offered Kirk Cousins that, and there was actually like a buyer's market for him.
Right.
They
got in trouble with the league for tampering because they needed to get an advantage at signing Kirk Cousins.
My point is, however Detroit feels about Jared Goff is about how Miami should feel about Tua. Both of them very highly regarded. You saw both of them do some failing, or what felt like failing, and you also saw one of them get to 2 Super Bowls. And he's got the $53.1 million, and the stat I just gave you on all that, a combined 16-17 record between all those $50 million deals. That's not actually winning anything.
Because it's losing to the top guy.
Right. Mahomes is doing all the winning.
Yeah.
That's at least part of it because they've got their top guy pretty cheap because they got him early and because the smartest of these guys know to allow for some savings in some corners so that you can do the winning because that game really hurts when you're losing. Like it hurts a little extra when there are losses involved with everything. I wanted to get to what Jerry Jones said, Stugotz, because tell me why this means anything. I've been making fun for a while about the fact that Jerry Jones is winning the business of sports because the Cowboys stink, but they're always relevant. They never win anything. They haven't won in 30 years, but they're the most valuable franchise, and he's the biggest businessman in the sport because he knows how to keep them relevant because he knows it's the circus, and he knows to say things like this that don't mean anything. Quote, I'm all in. I'm all in.
What more do you want from the man?
What else can you ask? I mean,
they asked him. They asked him about Jordan Love's contract and do they think Dak is better than Jordan Love? And he took you all the way around the mountain when she comes, and he did not give an answer. It's easy to say yes, my quarterback is better than everybody else. He won't do it though. Yeah.
He's all in. I mean.
It doesn't mean anything. Those words mean nothing in a salary cap sport, right? They're all in. That would mean something if you were actually competing over the dollars, if there weren't limits and he had to actually fight these people. God, that'd be so great. Do you know how much more interesting? We obsess over the $50 million these quarterbacks get. Do you know how much more interesting all of this would be if Jerry Jones had to be fighting the next richest owner for a quarterback they both want?
I don't know. I love soccer. I love club soccer. But before the year, outside of like some crazy historical outliers like with Leicester and whatnot, you got like 7 teams, 2 of which are actually competing for the title. It's not all that entertaining from a like who's going to win a championship standpoint.
You think Jerry Jones would be winning everything if he was just getting all the players that he wanted?
Well, not necessarily in football. In American football, that's also tricky because you have injuries there. But I would like to see a day. I don't think the salary cap's a bad thing in American sports. I like the parity. I like that you enter seasons, and across all major sports, you have fans saying this could be our year if a couple things break our way. Mm-hmm. But I would like to see something collectively bargained where you agree, maybe the quarterback position, maybe some like you got 5, like MLS does this. You have designated players. You can pay them anything. You have to be judicious, and then you can have a real talk. Do we burn up a designated player spot on Tua? Because that means now we only have 2 of them left.
Doesn't count against the cap is what you're saying.
Yeah, where
Right,
you have
yes.
positions that don't count at all against a cap, and it's a free open market for the very best in their sport. I'd like to see that in American sports outside of MLS.
Did you guys cover on Friday what I believe to be a story that should be getting more play both nationally and internationally that involves Cal Quantrill? Do you know the story that I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think I saw this on social media.
Okay, but did you guys talk?
Is that Paul Quantrill's son?
It has to be.
It must be.
How many Quantrills can there possibly be in this country that play baseball?
I saw there was a Homer Bush Jr. Running around.
Oh, boy. Really?
Wait a
Already?
second.
Already?
Yes, there was a Homer.
What?
Yes, I saw a Homer Bush Jr. running around. Cal Quantrill. But do you know the story I'm talking about? What the Rockies pitcher said to Reese McGuire of the Red Sox. It is what I believe to be the single greatest insult in trash talking I have ever heard that also happens to be true in sports. Yelled at him in the middle of an argument, "You jacked off in a bleeping parking lot, you dumb bleep."
I think he told him to go do that.
No,
No, he didn't.
No.
Just as a matter of fact.
No, you've done that.
I wiki searched you before this.
Yes.
Before this.
No, not go do that. That would also be a good thing to insult him with. But go do that because I know you have done it.
Yeah, like go do it again.
Go do it because we all know this about you. How much better does it get than that at the height of rage in terms of being able to hit somebody over the head with an incident from their past?
It's like a bit of a checkmate because what's your rebuttal?
A bit?
What's your rebuttal? Like, get some new material. Oh, everybody tells me that. Oh, no.
You gotta be like, touche.
You got me. You did. I did do that. It's a horrible shame for me, and everyone knows it.
I think Juju's right, by the way. I'm seeing a picture over here. I see "go" come out of his mouth first. Like, go jerk off in a parking lot.
Either way, we understand the sentiment.
Yeah, we get it.
We don't really need
it.
to parse it.
Yeah.
Like, the sentiment's the same. Wow. Paul Quantrill's son.
Amazing. Homer Bush.
We're so old, dude. It does warm the cockles a little bit when you see Trinity Rodman out there, but then you're reminded that they don't have a good relationship and quote, don't see eye to eye on the world.
Not surprising. One of my famous favorite Dennis Rodman facts is that his own father had, I believe it was 21 children, and his name was actually Philander. That's not usually something that you get.
Back full circle, we just left this. Jerry Jones, it's a perfect example of keeping it real goes wrong. If you would have paid Dak Prescott 2 years ago when you're supposed to pay Dak Prescott, he would have been in the category of Daniel Jones and them. Now you're going to have to pay that man more money. Salute to you, big bro.
If he wants to stay.
Let me ask you guys this question as it relates to Pat Riley here locally, because for some reason in the changes throughout sports where we know all the money everybody makes and all of us feel like fantasy GMs and we all feel like we could be better architects than the people doing the architecting. I understand anybody who looks at what's happened to the Miami Heat over the last 2 years and criticizes Pat Riley for falling behind because it's a results business. But I saw that Tyus Jones signed for the minimum, and a lot of people were saying, as they do, again, because the Heat have Thomas Bryant, a four-string center, and the Heat aren't getting better, that Pat Riley is washed and he should go away. And my question to you locally is, how do you imagine that happening if I keep telling you guys that 5 people run this organization and Riley reports to Nick Arison? That if you get rid of Riley, you're doing what? Bringing someone in over Spoelstra when Spoelstra's been given the job and the power he's been given, and not to go to Portland where he could have had an ownership stake because they're promising him that he can be a part of all the decision-making in the future. When you're running Pat Riley out, are you replacing him with someone else, or are you just making Spoelstra Spoelstra the one who's over Riley, even though I keep telling you guys at every turn there are 5 people who make all the decisions in that organization, and Riley gets all the credit for it because Riley's still the figurehead that works for everybody in the organization as mythological leader of the thing.
I've never met like someone that isn't like juicing it up and being performative that wants to show Pat Riley the door. That is an actual Heat fan. I think everyone understands what he's bought for himself with this franchise, made them relevant, made them matter, brought them their greatest success, is still recently pretty successful. I think everyone just wants him to, like, come on, figure it out. Be more aggressive.
Get one more.
Come on.
Right.
Like, you're getting old. We're all growing impatient. Do something. I want it to be you that does it. I don't want to work myself up. I will never get to that point, by the way. It just is what it is. There are very few people that get to that point in sports where you understand they get to do whatever they want for however long that they want. And it's not like they're terrible. They're just not winning a championship.
But, Mike, that's not a deal anyone has. Belichick just got run out on a rail. Like, that's not a deal that works in sports.
And no one has done more winning than Belichick.
You can say that. We're better people down here, I guess.
No, I understand fans running him out, Mike. I do.
They aren't, to Mike's point.
They're
I'm with
not.
Mike.
No,
You don't hear people.
It's not a real thing. That's
No.
egg Avi logic.
No.
These are not real people.
There are fans that are upset with the Heat and Riley and his inability to land some of the big free agents.
Yeah, you're looking at him.
I know.
I don't want to push him out.
But they have that perspective. They can say it all. They can say both things. They can
Right.
say, get a superstar, and also you're Pat Riley, and you can kind of do what you want.
I think they're being respectful. I don't believe the fans who are saying, hey, I have perspective. He can stay as long as he wants. You're being respectful to Pat. You want to win. You want to win now. It's okay. Push Pat out.
Yeah,
if you feel like the game is passing by, then say the game is passing by. I'm not saying these things. I don't care enough about the team. I'm not pushing them. I ain't pushing him.
Tony, you push him.
I mean,
yeah,
I will not do that.
Tony, push him out.
And I would
Will
say,
not
like,
do that.
if you're arguing that it's 5 people that make the decision, it's not one solo person, then that's a totally different scenario than what was happening in New England, where you had Kraft and you had Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick wanted all the power. He wanted so much power that when he hit an open market, nobody wanted him. I wonder if that would be the case with Pat Riley, but it's a totally different situation.
I just don't think that the people listening to this understand that Pat Riley reports to Nick Arison. Like, I don't think that that's something that anybody listening to this understands or considers for a moment. This is the Arisons franchise. They hide purposefully and powerfully in the shadows running the franchise, and I've seen them say no to Pat Riley on things. He reports
usually when it's a luxury tax.
He
but
reports,
I can't push out the owners.
Right.
Well, but that's isn't that
gotta push that's my point.
I got my issues.
Right.
There weren't T-shirts at the last playoff.
Yeah.
I wanted white hot T-shirts. I got a rally towel.
Yep.
I know where we're cutting corners. I saw what happened during the pandemic in the cruise line industry.
Isn't that why they lost Tyus Jones, because of the second apron stuff? That you guys, the part that I don't get is you obsess over the $53 million on Tua, and then when it comes to the second apron stuff, you don't actually understand what's happening there.
I do. Who are you talking about? Yes, I care about it. I don't give a flying F about the apron. I want the billionaire owner to spend the money to be competitive and do what other owners are doing. Over here, they have done so well that fans, in a twisted way, because it's spoon-fed from media that they like, hey, we got under the tax apron. Like, that's a banner that we should be raising. But, like, you have Heat fans that celebrate it. Wow, we're so good, we got under that apron.
My point My point isn't that you should care about whether they get under the tax apron. My point is that earlier in the show, you were telling me that you care about Tua's contract because it has to do with whether or not the team can stay under the salary cap.
Right, but it's a different sport. There's money to go around. You can go in the NBA into luxury tax town to improve your team. The Miami Heat say that they're willing to go there, but often their moves suggest, what was the real motivation here? Is it getting better? Is it getting better sometimes while also getting under the apron, which is something that, to their credit, they've been able to do? Or is it just cost cutting? And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not
Nobody
pushing Pat
A
Riley.
sports fan never is a huge fan of where does the business save money. But you are when it comes to the salary cap in football on where it is that you can save money.
No, again,
Because it affects your enjoyment of it. You're counting the dollars in the bank of Tua because you're doing all sorts of math that I've always hated having around sports.
I think no one cares about the specifics of it. I just want to know my team is doing this game on par with the good teams. It's like, okay, this team is spending this much on their quarterback. Let's not be the team that takes their quarterback that's in the middle kind of and over. Like, you just want to – I don't care. I think you're overstating that fans are like, oh, it's 54. It should have been 52. No, it's just I want to know what quarterbacks get more, what get less, and just make sure that my guys slotted in the right area.
I think you guys are burying the lead. The Miami Heat are your Summer League NBA champions right now. So I think we should just do more celebrating of that.
We didn't talk about that
during the 24 hours of grace. We allow them 20. It has been a summer of banners down here in South Florida. Look, everybody was making fun of them last year for falling short and not, oh, you lost in 2 finals. You didn't win anything. Well, the Panthers won the cup and the Heat won a championship over the summer. Boom. They shut a lot of people up.
We did not talk at all about the Summer League championship.
Why would we?
And we are not going to talk.
Were they talking about it in Africa?
When's the parade?
Championship.
Rough summer for parades, by the way. They're all getting rained on. Panthers, Olympics.
That Celtics
Thanksgiving
one didn't get
better look
rained
out.
on. Celtics one did not get rained on. There were 1 million people there.
Well, they outsource it to Miami half the time.
What else did you guys like about the opening weekend of the Olympics? Because I was talking about us and some of the things that we're going to be doing over the next 2 weeks to cover the Olympics, and I don't believe we've ever covered the Olympics before. Not in any kind of organized way. Not caring about. We're always waiting. What's the storyline of the day that's going to make an appearance that we can talk about and chew on from pop culture? But I don't remember in our entire 20-year history of a show us ever planning or thinking about what we were going to talk about regarding the Olympics.
Yeah, and I think we've done a decent job in chewing as to why that is. And we did have like one in London not too long ago, but I guess we were in different places, and the Miami Heat certainly were in a different place, and the offseason was a bigger deal there, and that would carry us a little bit more. But I think a lot of it has to do with it's all super accessible. It's in a time zone that we can all follow. If I want to watch handball, I can watch handball, and I can do it. And it's always great when we have sports on here. We're more invested because we are
it's just
working a
in the
job
morning.
where we can watch it. Oh, a spill here in the men's gold medal final in skateboarding.
Right.
You're not going to be able to recover from that one, son.
Yeah, because we care about that now. Right.
Also, I'm like a dog with a bone on women's water polo. It is going down. Salute to Flavor Flav, Don Staley. Salute to my girls, too, Giovanna Sokolich, Tara Prentice, Maddie Musselman, and Maggie Steffens, man. Come on, dog. We just caught an L against Spain. Now, the Spain, they got that look in their eyes. And they got a great goalie.
It's also like a very married experience.
Right?
Sitting down on the couch, as Stugotz mentioned it, like my wife gets into the Olympics in ways that are pretty profound and that I'm really enjoying. She's more into it than I am, so much so that we're watching all the shoulder programming uninterrupted as a docu-series on U.S. women's gymnastics as they ramped up for this Olympics. That's quite good.
That's
and
what
lets
it's
me to get
always
invested.
been, Mike. It's the Olympics. This is what I was telling you about
Since
last
Karch
week.
Karai. I mean, yeah.
Since before that, Stugotz. Karch Karai is not the original Olympic athlete on broadcast television. It is. It's a family event. It's always been. I'm surprised that you just realized it after 4 days again.
Took me having a family.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste, just 96 calories, available for delivery. Dan, WFAN came calling to fill in for Boomer Esiason. So he had to fly out to New York, the Big Apple, to live out his dream of hosting New York sports radio. While there, he didn't watch a single second of sports that the audience wanted to talk about. Giants Hard Knocks? Nope. Subway Series? Nope. Instead, he took a gummy and wandered around south of Houston Street, Soho. Dan, but just like that, after 4 days out, 4 days off. The rare 4 days off where I was actually working. Make no mistake about it. I am back.
That's never been delivered that way.
In the third person, it has never, ever, ever been delivered that way.
I am back.
Yeah, it was a bit wordy.
I think you matched the appropriate fanfare the first time.
It was
quite
a
honestly.
bit wordy. You're right.
It was a bit controversial.
You're right. If you thought you were having a bad weekend, people are saying J.D. Vance had sex with a couch. More cushion for the pushing, Dano.
That is true. Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Does J.D. Vance have more cushion for the pushing because he's having sex with couches?
They call them love seats for a reason, Dan. Dan, you know what the couch said to J.D. Vance? Pull out. People are worried that the Trump ticket will turn America fascist. But J.D. Vance actually wants to turn America into the Ottoman Empire. Top 5 empires.
Wow. Top 5 empires. Excellent.
Ottoman Empire.
That's pretty good.
Number 5, Empire State Building. Number 4, the Galactic Empire. Number 3, the British Empire. Number 2, the Roman Empire. And number 1, the Yankees. Right? The evil empire. What happened?
Now I get it.
To the lady that called WFAN and said she would buy my book to use in her fireplace. Hey, lady, all sales count the same. Thank you. StugottsBook.com.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to throw a book into a fireplace? That lady.
A book that hasn't been written yet.
Listen, once you buy it, it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. Just buy the book. Yankee fans, do me a favor. Shut up. It's July. You're leading the wild card. You're a game back in the AL East. And your competition in the East is the Orioles.
The Orioles are good, Stugotz.
Taylor.
The Orioles are good.
The O's.
And
I just traded for Zach Eflin.
The O's.
What?
The O's and the Yankees.
He's starting today.
Have not,
Against the Blue Jays. Tricky matchup.
Let me tell you, Yankee fans would not last a month being a Mets fan. They would not.
The O's and the Yankees have been bad for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And yet still they're at the top of the standings.
Right. Shut up, Taylor. Feel bad for Marlin fans. Their team exists to trade their best players to other teams who are actually contending. The M in Marlins stands for minor league team for the teams that are actually contending.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. You can't get excited about the prospects they get back because once they become good, they'll be traded back to the Yankees.
Oh, but I can get excited by them. I was on the MLB network on satellite radio listening to minors and majors on Sunday.
Were you really?
In fact, I believe in trading. One of the trades the Mets made is they sent away a 6'9", 250-pound pitcher. I wonder how hard he throws. 6'9", 250.
The Mets traded him?
Yes.
News to me.
Yeah. That's what part of why your FAN appearance was controversial.
Jazz Chisholm, cool name. Top 5 athletes that connote a music genre. OLI, Zach Pop, Dwayne Johnson. Number 5, The Rock, of course. Nick Folk. Number 4, the Minnesota Twins outfield in the early 2000s, Soul Patrol. Number 3, Pat Rapp.
Wait a minute. Who was Soul Patrol? Who was the outfield? Was Kirby Puckett part of Soul Patrol? Who was Soul Patrol?
This is early 2000s. I feel like it's Torrey Hunter.
Okay, Torrey Hunter was Soul Patrol?
Yeah.
Is this a Taylor Hicks reference? The guy that looked like Leno from American Idol?
Look it up.
Okay, we've got to look it up because he has not.
Bryant Reeves, Big Country. And Dan Ford. Disco Dan.
That's
Taylor.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Are you not writing any of these anymore? Now Taylor's just writing all
The
of your
White
weekend
Sox are
observations?
54 games under 500.
Now.
That's all I got.
Been a
Listen,
minute.
what I'm doing with Taylor is Taylor lays down the foundation. I have to twist him and turn him a little bit to show him how to exactly write these things. And then I add my own, and, we put together weekend observations.
And
How
he
we do
fixes
it.
your spelling errors like foundation.
Of course he does.
Hold on a second. The Chicago White Sox, to give people slightly more information.
54 games under 500.
They've lost 14 straight. They're on pace to win 40 this season. The worst is 43 ever. Was
Southside.
the Detroit Tigers. They have as many blown saves as they do wins.
Penicillin for my Mariners.
Headline: Bo Nix is making his case to be QB1. Here's his case: he's not Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham.
That is a good case. It's a good case.
What a case!
Yeah.
He wins. Synchronized diving, boring.
No.
Synchronized diving after taking a gummy, mesmerizing. Incredible what they do. I mean,
How much you have not been healthy? You have been self-destructive for a while now.
About 3 years.
How much gummy are you having these days? Because the other day you threw out a 40 milligrams, and I just was.
Valhalla.
I mean,
Do you do any flaxseed oil to offset it?
No.
Because sometimes I get like that choking sensation.
Huh.
It's supposed to alleviate that.
Really?
Yeah, I've just been doing less because of it. And now I'm on Alpha Brain, Lion's Mane.
Oh, is it good?
Are we going to see a situation where Stugotz has a Dion Waiters on an airplane because he doesn't know? Or is he just so strong in terms of immunity to high because he's been getting high for so long?
I have to take 40 milligrams. I mean,
Wow.
Nothing else
That's
gets
really
to you?
strong.
Yeah.
That's really strong. You're asking me if Alpha Brain works?
Yeah.
I respond by saying, I remembered a Taylor Hicks reference.
You need to stop shilling for this Joe Rogan snake oil.
I'm wearing his jeans right now.
I bought some of it.
I
Not
was
the
at the
jeans, I
MMA
bought the Alpha
hangout.
Brain, yeah.
My friend, I don't know what's exactly in these Alpha Brain pills, but I know one of them is red.
How did the hangout go, Tony?
Incredibly, Dan. We had everybody over at Casa Tiki. The fights were good. Could have been great, except for a couple different things. But no bonuses.
Crap card. Crap card.
The whole thing was tough. It started at 3 o'clock in the morning in Great Britain. Things were a little, upside down.
Salute to Bilal Muhammad, though. New. You feel me?
And new welterweight champion.
Yeah.
Beat hometown kid Leon Rocky Edwards. Kind of a boring fight.
Dan, you know what the S in synchronized diving stands for?
I do not.
It stands for sativa, makes it a lot more entertaining.
That's the one that gives me like the choking.
Really?
Yeah, I bet.
Flaxseed oil?
I just read your next one. This is crazy.
What do you mean?
Well, whatever Taylor wrote next.
College football has a 2-minute warning this year.
I just learned that.
You're not playing CFB 25 and it shows.
Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Juju, at Le Batard Show. Did you know that college football has a 2-minute warning this year?
Things you think about wandering around the West Village on a gummy. Valhalla, 40 milligrams. Roger Maris isn't a Hall of Famer. How?
Because he only had the one good year.
Just assumed he was. Top 5 athletes, you'd be surprised that they aren't Hall of Famers. OLI, Kevin Johnson, KJ. Number 5, Sean Kemp, the Rain Man. Everyone makes it into the Basketball Hall of Fame. How is Sean Kemp and Kevin Johnson not in Basketball's Hall of Fame? Explain it. Someone explain it.
Cocaine addiction ruined some of Sean Kemp's better years.
Parking lot shootouts. Rain Man.
Number 4, Chase Utley. I mean, Chase Utley is one of the 10 best second basemen of all time. I don't like him, but he is. I mean,
Great second baseman.
yes.
Great hair.
Amazing.
Has he been retired for 5 years?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was playing when I was last paying attention, so it has to be.
Number 3, Roger Maris. Number 2, Carlos Beltran. And number 1, this is a shocker, Torrey Holt. The South Sudan team can hoop. DeMar DeRozan said he's still friends with Drake after being on stage with Kendrick Lamar. You know what DeMar is doing? He's playing both sides.
He's also lying.
That might have been the worst Connery I've ever heard.
Sean Connery impersonation.
I was supposed to ask Mike to do it. I'm sorry.
I only knew because you said shides.
Shides.
But it might have been like Foundation.
Shides.
The 40 milligrams. Like you could have just slurred your way through it.
Valhalla. Sal Licata said that the NL wildcard race was over. The Mets haven't won since. Callers are enraged. That's what New York sports radio is all about, Dano. I wish I had that take. I was too busy taking gummies and trying to take everyone's job. Not happy about that.
Which part?
Taking everyone's jobs.
What? Because
those jobs mean a lot to those great people at WFAN, and I should not be doing that at an open microphone. I mean, it's okay to think about it and never say it out loud. It's not okay to think about it and say it out loud.
Chicken time.
You couldn't mean it more. You couldn't be lying less.
You just can't out the half-witted, brother. You're playing both sides.
Chris Cody, what kind of chicken was that? You couldn't mean it less. You couldn't be lying more. Is that what that chicken meant?
You meant what you said. You're lying a lot.
Okay.
Here.
Okay. Well, but you said
There's usually more than one, and you can't really tell what we're saying, and we're just like,
But you said
liar.
That's what I do. I just say a lot of things.
Too much money, Bunny. I do give a damn.
I get it, chickens. I get it.
Do you know Stuart Feiner of Barstool, one of their great court jesters, was offended by you court jesting on WFAN? We've really arrived, Stugotz, when
great.
our greatest fool can be so much bigger and better than Barstool's greatest fool and make Barstool's tout hold his rosary beads because he so finds New York sports radio precious that you not knowing about Mets Yankees offends him. Fart is in the eye of beholder.
I'm Team Feiner on this one. And have been since I was like 12 watching paid programming.
I love Feiner. He's great.
He's the best.
You offended him.
I don't care.
No, but I mean,
He's an absolute lunatic, and I'm worried about him generally, but he's funny.
I got to tell you, Dan, at this stage, I don't care. If Stu Feiner likes me, great. If he doesn't like me, great. I don't care.
No, but
I
I
win.
want him to like me.
Boxing match for charity?
That's all right.
I
don't want to box Stu Feiner.
I just can't believe that you made Barstool's guy indignant about what you did to his morning radio.
Mission accomplished.
I mean, it's just stunning. It's stunning that you could outrage Barstool's guy.
I was confusing everybody. I mean, I really was. Listen, by the end of the week, I had everyone into an open microphone saying they wanted Evan Roberts' job. They came into it mad at me for saying it, and then they were saying it themselves.
You just apologize.
I feel bad about it.
You don't sound like you do. You had everybody talking about it. You sound kind of happy about it.
Talk to so.
This is the Olympics. The best athletes in the world. The best we have to offer. Can we not do better than cardboard beds? I can guarantee you who isn't sleeping in one of those cardboard beds. LeBron. You know what the L in LeBron stands for? It stands for luxury hotel. Oh, what are we doing? These are athletes. They need sleep. They need a comfortable bed, not one made out of cardboard.
This has been a complaint I have heard since the original Dream Team. They were sleeping on a yacht. Barkley and Jordan were sleeping on a yacht, and the regular Olympians were sleeping on cots.
By the way, don't even think about comparing this team to the Dream Team. Don't think about it. Don't think about it, and if you are thinking about it, don't you dare say it. I mean, what are you, crazy? Larry Bird had ice on his back.
That team is the reason the rest of the world is so good now.
Agreed. That team. Don't think about it. Red Cody, thank you for the invite to your birthday party. Put me down as a maybe. Have to get back to you. I mean, it might be a lacrosse mitzvah. I have no idea. I'll let you know. It's a birthday party I want to go to, though. It is. What is it?
21st of September.
Get back to you.
It's part of our 20-year celebration. It's right around some of the stuff we'll be doing to celebrate 20 years on the air.
I'll get back to you.
On whether you're going to do any of that with us?
Yes. I'm excited for that. When are we doing this?
Soon. It's coming up. It's like in
Really?
6 weeks or so.
Does this make us can we get into the Hall of Fame now, or how does this work? Do we know the
You
amount
might
of years?
have ruined that last week with the WFAN stuff.
Stu Feiner, really? He decides.
I don't know.
Be an odd person to decide.
I was
like
saying
it should be me.
The FAN people were mad because I was saying that you are a bigger personality than everyone there.
They played it back
for Boomer Esiason
Yeah,
because you are a radio Hall of Famer. Those people are not.
Yeah. Kobe Bryant's Staples Center locker hits auction with $1.5 million estimate. The people selling that should be ashamed of themselves. Also, the Stugotz is stronger than them. It's weird. Simone Biles finished first at Olympic qualifiers despite a calf injury. Hockey player. Blue Jays are listening to trade offers for Isaiah Kiner-Faleca. Who is this person? IKF. That is Taylor, by the way. Me responding to Taylor. Who the is Isaiah Kiner-Faleca?
You said Faleca
right.
the first time.
That's not the way you say
The Bear. A no-hitter in baseball has never meant less. It's disgusting. We used to lead SportsCenter with him. We used to break into programming with him. Now no one cares. And this was a complete game no-hitter.
Those are the only kind there are.
Well, no, you have these combined no-hitters
No,
with a
but I'm
bullpen.
saying one
right?
pitcher can only have a complete game no-hitter, right?
The 6:30 a.m. tee time always sounds and feels better the day before when you're booking it at 2:30 in the afternoon. And then you get there.
Everyone agrees that the by committee no-hitter is less valuable than one
That's
dude
not a no-hitter.
just doing
It's not a
it.
no-hitter.
That's not our no-hitter.
Yeah.
Doesn't count.
Tua grabbing the microphone to publicly celebrate himself as the wealthiest person in the Dolphins organization. Tua, the Stua is strong in
It
you.
was really strange. It really was. I'm just confused by it.
Hide the money, y'all. Broke people are around. Looking at.
Do Dolphin fans have to pay in order to hear him say that? Are they doing admission to come
How do
training?
you think he gets
free.
paid? I mean, Drew Holiday quietly finished as the third leading scorer tonight for Team USA. Everything Drew Holiday does, he does so quietly. He does.
I was chanting Drew SA at my computer when he had a steal.
I'm not a morning person, Dan. I love WFAN. But, man, morning radio is the sports radio of hell. It's the equivalent of hell for sports radio.
It is.
It really is. I did not feel good after my third show. I didn't. Someone called me Papa. Speaking of hell, or Bryles. Dan, those are the weekend observations.
Your stamina is not what it used to be. And
I feel great.
Morning radio, well, you just... No, I'm not saying here.
Oh.
I wasn't criticizing what you just did. I was saying that your inability to make it through, it wasn't even a full week of morning radio. It was 4 days. I have questions, by the way. You were supposed to be here and there on Monday of last week?
No.
How were you not in either place on Monday of last week?
They didn't need me on Monday. Jerry Recco was filling in, top 5 update anchor of all time, Jerry Recco. He was filling in. By the way, I fired all update anchors at WFAN while I was there. I'm a jackass.
Didn't you just say you were sorry for bringing that up again and again?
Yeah, I am. I am sorry to do that. But anyway, Dan, they didn't need me on Monday. I figured you were fine here on Monday. Monday was a travel day for me. I had to get up there so I could be fresh. I had to watch the Subway series.
You were needed here. Nobody understood why you weren't here. I understand we have a video from your time up at FAN. What do we need to know here? I understand that you spent Meadowlark Resources. You had interns working at 5:30 in the morning. You were right across from the street from Meadowlark. Never went to Meadowlark.
I was busy. Yeah, I had a lot to do, and I regret not doing that. I apologize to all the folks at the New York Meadowlark offices. I was going to go there Friday. I was told no one was there on Friday, and I was proud of everyone. And so I decided not to go. I had to go out and see family and do all this stuff. The video you're about to see is me on my final day at WFAN. I thought the listeners would like to see a day at WFAN with me. And so Lucy, one of our interns, she joined me at 5:30 in the morning, met me out in front of the hotel, and together we spent a day at WFAN. So this is our daily stroll over to WFAN in New York. It is 2 blocks from the hotel. The hotel's right down here. Lucy's kind enough to come out and record this with me. I asked her to do it at 5:30 in the morning. She wanted to text me back, go f*** yourself, but she didn't. She was nice. She said yes, she's doing it. She's doing it with a smile on her face. but I know what's underneath that is what the hell am I doing with my life? So anyway, we're going to walk you to WFAN. Inside the lobby here at WFAN. These are hallowed grounds right here, okay? They're really not. But they are, okay? These are the same hallways that Mike Francesa walked through, that Christopher Randolph Russo walked through, that Joe Beningo walked through, that the great Sidney Arthur Rosenberg walked through. We're now going to walk to the elevator. Lucy, you have a long walk for that.
Got it.
Dan, we've arrived at radio. This is radio. We are walking through a hallway at 5:40 in the morning. Oh, do I miss the feeling of walking into a radio station. This is radio. Someone pounding at a door at 5:40 so he can make his 6 a.m. shift. Oh, this is radio. Okay, all right, we get that. Go on. No. Make sure we get that.
I got it.
You got that?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Beautiful.
WFAN. So, when you're entering the biggest sports radio station in the history of sports radio, you need to dress it up properly. The entrance needs to be dressed up properly. Look at this. Look at the shrine to New York sports. First off, Lucy, come back here for a second. You see the beautiful logo of WFAN. This is how you have to have the entrance be, right? You have Mariano Rivera up there. You have Babe Ruth right there. Babe Ruth, think about that. There's Willis Reed, okay? There's Yogi hugging Don Larson, I believe. There's the marathon being run over the bridge. Patrick Ewing, Dwight Gooden, Dr. K, Dr. J, 2 of my top 5 doctors of all time. This is amazing. I'm actually tearing up right now. I don't know why, it's weird. We are currently watching the great Al Dukes do a radio promotion in which they are asking for caller 7 to the contest lines. I love a good contest line. Oh, do I love a good contest line. Okay, now we're back out in the bullpen. Here we go. I got to be honest with you. Last year, everyone loved me. This year, not so much. A little frosty. I am here with a very special friend. It's the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz Universe. It is McLovin.
This has been a very special week here with Stugotz.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Just him being in the building has changed the entire energy of the whole company. It's a big company. There's several floors here. And every elevator I get in is like, oh, did you see Stugotz was here this week? I'm not kidding. Like, you have impacted WFAN, like the salespeople. Everybody's talking about you.
No one's talking about me. He's lying. There's not a single person talking about me. Oh, this would have been my office. I just walked into the program director's office while he was on a Zoom call and blurted out, "Ooh, this would have been my office." I'm never coming back here again. I'm never going to get invited back here again. So I'm here with my buddy, Mike Francesa, the Pope. Hi, Mike. Small feet. Oddly small feet. Lucy is agreeing with me. Oddly small feet. This is the room at WFAN. And what do I mean by the room? I have no idea, but it feels like the room. All right, we are in the WFAN studios. This is radio. Radio. Dan, show them the studio. You missed that? Radio. He looks like radio. This man has aged 10 years for every year that he has done morning shows. This is amazing. This is where Gio sits. This is where the great Boomer Esiason sits, who Dan said is the only one at this radio station that is bigger than I am. Debatable. Look at all this stuff. That is Patrick Mahomes with Boomer Esiason. He only has one picture with Patrick. I have a complete photo album with Patrick, but you know, I'm part of the Mahomes family. He's not. This is what radio is all about. We have phone lines and we don't have windows.
I want to be perfectly clear about this because I do think it's important. You guys do understand that Reese McGuire was actually masturbating in a parking lot and got caught by TMZ with police and everything else in 2020, masturbating in a parking lot. And so when Cal Quantrill yells at him, "You jacked off in a bleeping parking lot, you dumb bleep," it's an argument ender. Whatever the fight is before that,
it's a fact.
You've lost the fight on that fact that he knows that about you and can deliver it at the height of rage. The fact that it's true is what makes it the best trash-talking item I've heard in a single sentence. Just to be clear, it doesn't work as an insult as well unless he was actually caught on video in a way that reached the Rockies. It reverberated from that parking lot to a mountainous region where a pitcher in Colorado can insult you with it. Amazing insult. Amazing that it's true.
A little too real.
Uncomfortably real.
A little icky. Feels icky.
Icky
in more
is
ways than
exactly
one.
the word.
Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Exactly right.
I
Tell him,
guess
Tone.
it all depends on the parking lot, right?
I ain't cheating.
Exactly the word. Icky is the correct word that you wanted to go with there. But as an argument ender,
oh, it's great.
You
Like if it's a Lowe's off hours, like
Off hours.
if I'm on the way home.
Yep.
It'd be better than while driving.
Just
We'd
like-
all agree.
yeah.
It's
Who-
safer than
who's
while
bothering?
driving.
Safer.
Yes.
Pulled
Way
over,
safer.
responsible. Yep.
Way safer.
So speaking of safety, I have a Dana White clip that I want to play for the audience. You heard Tony and Mike talk about how sluggish the UFC weekend was. This one is super interesting to me, Stugotz, because understandably, Dana White wants for his customer knockouts. And understandably, the fighter's like, I'd really like to protect myself in a fight. It's hard to do this, and I don't want to, for your extra $50,000, get knocked out and embarrassed in front of people. So I understand why Dana White wants to entice me with his chief manipulation, which is pay the fighters correctly, as opposed to what he's doing every day when he bullies them because he's a menacing bully skinhead. But let's listen to Dana White here as he just says, yeah, I want entertaining fights, and I'm never doing that again where I offer them more money and I get nothing but decisions.
Every time you get on a press conference, the fighters manage to get you to up the bonuses. Do you think there's an argument that maybe you should just up them to...
I think tonight showed that we should not, no. Upping them doesn't change anything. It doesn't make anybody fight any harder. It doesn't change anything. I'm not doing this again.
Ever?
Ever. Today was the last day that I'm doing that. Yeah. Not saying that in the future the bonuses couldn't get up, but I'm not going to be at a press conference and say 200, 300, and never again. Never again. So you can thank everybody on this card for that.
Damn, dude.
Yeah. Nobody fought any harder. There was no sense of urgency. Holy shit, I want the 100,000.
3 a.m.
7 straight. Who gives a f? It's fucking 7 o'clock in Vegas. So, whatever. Yeah. Never again.
Okay. And last...
7 straight decisions. Yeah. The 100,000 was a real big woohoo. Let's get it, boys. That shit. Never again.
Not the way fighting works. Just not the way it works.
Until one of your stars says, hey, let's do $100,000 or $300,000 bonus. Like, okay, yeah, let's do that.
Right. It was the good example too was it was two guys that was about to fight before the match. They was about to fight before the match, and then they say, "All right, fight." And it was like them dogs. They were the gate open. It was like, "You punch first. Nah, you punch first."
One of those guys ended up actually not getting his contract renewed and now going to the PFL. Dana's like, hey, you guys have an undefeated guy. Good luck. He's
That's
not
what
staying
he
here
said.
anymore.
He cut him right after the fight and just said that fighting style's not for me. He can go be undefeated somewhere else. I will.
If only there was a matchmaker we could blame. Someone that was keenly aware of fighting styles.
Who puts them together,
Hunter
Mike?
Campbell?
Because like the fighting styles would kind of, you looked at this card on the surface, and if you follow the occasional UFC card, you knew that, okay, Leon Edwards is capable of being an exciting fighter, but he'll kind of meet his opponent where his opponent wants to meet him. And if in the event he loses like he did, that fight's not going to be very exciting. You have heavyweights. It was a soft knockout there, but the card didn't. No one who follows a sport card to card would say that's an exciting card. Those matches are capable of fireworks. That's not really the case. So you have a card with fights that are odd, and you have it being at 3 a.m. local time. It makes for a less than exciting card, and he's just lashing out, blaming the fighters for it. You're the matchmaker, bud.
The fight that you could draw a circle around and be like, all right, this is the fight, was the Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades, both guys known for knockouts, and we got what we wanted, a knockout in 25 seconds. Again,
soft.
Albeit could have been soft, but when you get punched in the face by a guy who's 260 pounds with a left hand, It's not that soft because you're going down and then getting destroyed.
Us calling that soft is funny.
It's just it just wasn't a highlight reel knockout. It was just it wasn't a great knockout.
It was a KO and a stoppage.
Tony, thank you for having me on the MMA Hangout. We had a great time there.
Record-breaking day on the MMA Hangout, by the way.
Thank you to Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. Tommy Aspinall said something very interesting afterwards. He tried to start being a matchmaker because apparently anybody can do it. And if you just blame the fighters for a bad fight, like I can try my hand at that. Yeah, did you see what he called for? He called John Jones out, but he had a unique take, harkening back to the days of yesteryear with the UFC. Yeah. 2 fights, 1 night.
Yeah, it was what he called for was a heavyweight tournament, right? Alex Pereira, who's been the biggest savior for the UFC this year,
who Jake Paul wants to fight.
That would never happen for Jake Paul's sake. But he has been kind of transcendent in the sense that he's gotten to the UFC. He's fought already in 2 division weight classes, has won 2 titles. Now they're talking about him moving up from light heavyweight at 205 up to heavyweight, which, again, is from 205 and up. So it's a very broad weight class. Tommy Aspinall at the end was like, we should have a heavyweight tournament where John Jones fights Stipe Miocic, and then I fight Alex Pereira, and then the winner fights each other in a couple months. So it's kind of like a back-to-back, maybe 2 or 3 months separating these 2 fights, but there's no way that Dana's going to allow that, 1. But 2, they're talking about Alex. There's no way that he can move up to fight John Jones, who walks around at 245, 250. Aspinall, the same thing. Stipe Miocic is the same thing. It's big weight difference.
I think this past weekend in the UFC was like the football fans, real deal football fans who don't mind sitting through a 3 to 10 Thursday night football game. Yeah. I didn't mind watching the game, the fight. Because Buddy, who I was complaining about being in a boring fight, he broke his toe first round. And Patty Pimblett came out and showed King Green, don't dive at me. So it was good to watch if you were an actual UFC fan. It just wasn't the fireworks that's going to bring a casual in.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that the card was really boring until Dana made it so. Right. Like, Dana was a guy that crapped on the card harder than anybody, and I was in YouTube comments. Those people live to crap on.
Well, he's talking about the money involved.
It's like 2 different derivatives.
No, he's talking
about the excitement.
No, Stugotz, just so you understand, he's talking about knockout bonuses, okay, trying to make the fights more interesting so that they do not go to decision. What I would just say to you, all of you who are so comfortable saying 260 soft knockout, is I want you all to imagine that you are in a fight, all of you. Your chief priority is what? Inflicting damage or making sure you don't fall under any. Now make it people who have to fight for a living, invest their entire lives in the idea of, I have to win this to get to future contracts, and I have to be careful because this guy wants that bonus money too. Anybody in that situation is going to be hyper careful. And then the next step on this is what Mike is saying. It's a matchmaker's job to make those fights interesting because you throw 2 people in there who are gonna fight that way. But the instinct, to me, in fighting, if you're Floyd Mayweather, is how do I defend myself more than what kind of damage can I inflict? How is it that I make sure that I don't have my embarrassment reveal itself in 5 seconds, because it's really hard to do this in front of people when you're fighting a similarly skilled fighter who's just as hungry as you are.
You have those fighters that are more defensive based, and you know how to shape fights around them. If they make it to the very top, and you have a guy that's earned a title shot, you can only do so much, and you just hope the greatness steeps through. I was into the fights because I like the chess match aspect of it. And the defense, especially when you're talking about takedowns, like that stuff is interesting to me. Nobody was harder on this card than the guy that was making it, complaining that it wasn't entertaining, when it didn't really come across as a surprise that the card played out the way that it did.
Mike, the way that I grew to like this sport is because I liked the mixed martial arts competing against each other to see which of these arts, the expertise in the singular arts, was the one that would win when you have all of the fighting styles in an octagon. It's the science of it is what I enjoy. But of course, all he wants is the barbaric entertainment and the knockout highlights, and thinks he can get it by offering more money. But offering more money is not an incentive in those spots. I mean, it's not.
He'd argue it quite literally is. But look, the Patty thing worked out for them. They'd been serving him soft opponent after soft opponent, trying to make him a superstar, and everybody was saying this is the time that the glass slipper does not fit. We see through you. We know what this is. and he receives the biggest bonus of the night because he had the most exciting fight of the night and proved he's legit.
Do you understand what I'm saying? That when you're in a fight, money's not the incentive. It's not the chief incentive.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. Is like you say like it's about damage mitigation. Floyd Mayweather got into a fight to win a fight, and it's all about what's my skill
That was
set.
just his style.
How am I best suited to win this fight?
But that's
some
what
of them
everyone
is
is doing.
No, not necessarily.
No, how do I win the fight?
Pereira, Pereira's doing
throws
like, how
left
do I win
hands.
this fight? And it's by throwing.
I get what you're saying, bro. Put me in the ring against a Terminator and say whoever wins not with a knockout get 100,000. I don't give a damn about that 100,000. It's Terminator on my ass.
Leg kicks.
Right.
Although checking a Terminator would be tough.
The tough part is that, Dan, you're talking about all the mixed martial arts and how they are better than one another, and that's what we're trying to see, right? What we've proven with the scoring, too, and close scoring is if you get somebody on the ground with wrestling and you can keep them down for 5 minutes, you're going to win. That's the ultimate cheat code is if I wrestle better than you, I'm going to win. So it doesn't matter what mixed martial arts you know, I can do that.
Boring.
Exactly.
Yeah, in a fight, all the fights I'm in.
But you guys aren't professional fighters. That's the thing.
I'm 60-40 protecting myself.
I'm sure the guys that are in there are like, I'm going to 100% knock this guy's head off.
You guys have heard Mike Tyson say, right? Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the nose.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're going to win the knockout bonus of the night, right up until you're in a fight against somebody who's about as good as you are, and you're afraid of it happening to you.
The bonus needs to be higher. $100,000 for those guys is not enough incentive.
It is.
No, Dan, it's not. $1 million, you will have guys like Floyd Mayweather, guys who don't go for knockouts, they will then go for knockouts. If indeed that's what he's going for.
Knocked out left and right.
Okay.
Them same guys.
So?
Over like Martin Lawrence in the fight against Tommy Hearns.
Yep. At least we get a knockout. I mean,
Stugotz, I believe do you guys think I have this wrong? Because I know that Stugotz's chief incentive is always money on all things. But I think that the chief motivator for most human beings that is higher than even money is surviving. And when I put people who, even if they're trained, in a fight in front of others where they can not only get knocked out, but also embarrassed, and their career can get derailed by being on the wrong end of the knockout and everything they've worked for, there's not an amount of money that you can put in these circumstances that is going to actually get you more entertaining fights.
I think we all understand that, but there are more entertaining fighters, and they're guys with different styles, different disciplines that they're stronger at. And if you're a matchmaker, if your top guys are more suited for ground fights and more defensive style fights, it's your job as a matchmaker to put guys that lean on other disciplines that are a bit more aggressive and a little bit more exciting for the fans, especially when you consider it's happening at 4 a.m. local time. I don't care what time it is in Vegas. Like it's 3 a.m. there.
The welterweight championship that we just saw between Leon Edwards and between Bilal Muhammad was a war of attrition in the welterweight division because neither guy was supposed to get a title fight. They didn't want Leon. He had been unbeaten for 9 years. Think about that. He had not lost a fight in 9 years until he fought Kamaru Usman and beat him. They did not want to give him a title shot through those 9 years. Bilal Muhammad, the same thing, hasn't lost in 5 years. They did not want to give him a title shot whatsoever. But it finally got to a point that they continued to win in their styles until it was like, all right, we have nobody else. Colby's out. Kamaru Usman's out. Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's probably going to get the next title shot, is just a buzzsaw who's going to be incredible. We'll see him in a little bit. But these are the two guys, we need to make this fight because they just keep winning and they've given us no choice. Dana is not happy that Bilal Muhammad won this title. Like
the boring winners.
He
boring
was
winners
with
division.
He was training with Khabib. You knew how this fight was going to go. I'm going to get him on the ground. I'm going to try to put him in a rear naked choke for 4.5 minutes. With that, Dana's like, damn, now I have a champion who is going to try and wrestle everybody, and that's going to be boring because if he wins and he's successful at that, then I got another wrestling champion.
But he looked good on his feet against my boy.
He did. He outstruck him.
Right, he outstruck my boy. So,
dude, he totally closed off the octagon.
Exactly. So I think, like you said, put an exciting fighter against Bilal with wrestling skills. I think that fight will be more exciting.
I wouldn't mind seeing Edwards get another shot at it because it seemed as though, like in round 5, even though he was the much lesser fighter on the night, he kind of figured out what he had to do in round 5, and he's a guy that we've seen in the Usman fight in particular pull a win very late once he realizes, I finally figured this guy out. He just waited way too long.
Again, they got one of those two guys that they didn't want out now. They're not giving him an immediate rematch. I think Dana said as much. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov is the next guy up because he has that wrestling acumen and his ability on the ground, but he's also a buzzsaw on his feet. So I think that's the next fight to make in welterweight.
I mean, he was trying to offset the main event by putting heavyweight power on the card too, and just it was a knockout, but it wasn't a sensational knockout. One knockout is all you need. One moment from each card is all you need to make all those negative feelings go away, and he just didn't get it this time.
Stugotz, I want to show you a couple of things here because I don't believe that we have had a music phenomenon that is quite like Taylor Swift is.
It makes you emotional.
In the modern age, I have something
Choked up.
stuck in my throat.
I thought you were talking about Gojira.
Yeah. It is amazing what she's doing. I mean,
This is crazy. If you think you're popular, this is a good reality check for anyone out there with
You're
a following.
not, right?
If you think you're popular, you're not.
A German stadium, a stadium in Munich, is filled for her concert, and then far enough away to not be able to hear that concert very well or see anything at all, there's also a sea of people.
On a hill, like just how many thousands of people do you think are in this hill? Like this looks like 50,000 people outside of the stadium.
You're saying
they
they just
idea if they shot it in landscape,
right? That's a good point. But you're saying they just want to be close to the action. They can't hear. There's no speakers set up. There's nothing out there.
No, they can hear. They
can faintly hear it.
It's a concert, but you can't hear it. It's not. You can't hear it well, and you can't see much of anything. And this happens to her all over the world, where outside people can't get in, and they're just thrilled to be able to be outside. Yeah. Now let's.
You know what I realized? Like, it is way too hot down here in Miami. We would never do that.
Now,
we could never. We'd melt. It must be so nice out there. They're enjoying them. They just want to be outside near the action because their balls aren't melting.
Right now it's 80 degrees in Munich.
Look at all the fans that came to see Britney Spears.
Balmy, beautiful.
Come on, do the thing. The guy is the guy.
Not a lot of balls I saw there. I saw a lot of women there.
It's hot as balls for women too.
Is it? Put it on the
that
poll,
one
please,
transcends.
At
That's
Le Batard Show. Put it. I don't understand
How
that
is that
expression.
possible?
I've never
I mean,
understood that expression.
You don't understand it?
I do,
never get
but
hot?
I do,
mean,
but I don't.
I think I've heard Jess say I'm sweating my balls off.
Put
It's just a saying.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is it hot as balls for women as well? Now let's juxtapose Taylor Swift against the SeaWorld concert series involving Soulja Boy. Who else is here at the SeaWorld?
Bow Wow, I believe. I believe this is Bow Wow and Soulja Boy performing where Shamu used to perform.
That was a question you were asking because you don't know if Shamu is around anymore. This is less exciting. The SeaWorld Summer Concert Series feels like something not unlike what the Marlins.
Hey, this seems like a pretty good party. I know which one I'd rather be at. Right? This is great.
Sold.
Joe Boy.
Hey, look at him. Yup.